Hello everyone. Today I'm here because we are doing a hush hush reading vlog. Here are the books. There's a fourth one, but I don't own physically the fourth one, but I still will be reading the fourth one. It is a 4-book series. The first book is called Hush Hush, which is the series namesake. The second book is called Crescendo. The third book is called Silence. And the fourth book, which I don't own, is called Finale. I will be reading all 4 of these books in this vlog. There will be spoilers. So if you haven't read it or if you want to read along with me, you definitely can. I'm going to start this book eventually. Who knows? But I'm very excited to read them. I'm very nervous. I hope I like it because I've been getting a lot more into urban fantasy and paranormal. And a big thing I'm loving right now is angels. My number 1 will always and forever be werewolves. But my number 2 is angels. And my number 3 is vampires. But I just bought an entire vampire series and I am in love with so many angel series right now. So let's see if this series can knock werewolves off that top pedestal. And it doesn't have to be great. These are older books, but I want early 2000s, early 2010s, angsty, like convoluted plots. I want it all. And if that comes with these, that's all I care about. So I hope you enjoy watching. Please read along if you would like. Remember, there will be spoilers up ahead. I hope you guys enjoy this video. And yeah, let's get into book 1, Hush Hush. You need to jump his bones. He fell from heaven not to be with you. Stand up. Where's Nora's mom? That we will never know. He yoinked me out of my own home. Hello everyone. So I am officially 100 pages into Hush Hush by Miss Becca Fitzpatrick. And here are my spoilery thoughts so far. First off, let me give you like a small synopsis. Basically, it's about a girl named Nora. She's a senior in high school, about to go to college, obviously. And she lives in a small town. Nothing's really going on in her life. And then an exchange student who goes by Patch, which I hate, starts to be interested in her. They become lab partners in biology. They're talking about sex and, health, whatever. And he seems weird. First, they find out, like, oh, there's a birthmark that I have, that he has a similar one. And she's starting to hear him in her mind as if he's talking through her mind. And she just confronted him about that when I ended this chapter. There's not much going on, but it is giving very much 2009, like fog, angsty time, right? Do I care about any of the characters? No. Do I already am annoyed by one of the characters? Yes. The big things that are going on right now, firstly, is that this book, A Sign of the Times, this book came out in 2009. I was spot on, and it's giving that. There's a lot of diet and weight culture. I underlined a couple of passages that are like very diety and weird, but the first one was basically Nora explaining, like describing her best friend V, and she basically said she's a few pounds over what would be considered like thicker. Like I was like, ugh. I didn't like that. And then the second thing that she said that was said was it was a girl, like the popular girl in the school, bullying them or whatever. And V, which is Nora's best friend, the girl says, well, first they're talking at the store, and and Sarah's in her monologue saying, V was on the color wheel fruit diet, 3 red fruits a day, 2 blue, and a handful of green. Only eating fruit for your diet? That's interesting. And literally the next page, the mean girl is like, hi, supersize, talking to V. And she says, my mom is looking for models this weekend. The pay is $9 an hour. I thought you'd be interested. She's having a really hard time finding plus size lingerie models. 1, these children are children, so they shouldn't be doing lingerie modeling in the first place. And 2, she's being quite mean. But here's the thing. I don't even like V. I think V is very annoying. I think she's obsessed with boys to the point where it's like, for what? And I think she's using Nora. I think, and what it seems like to me, and mind you, I don't even know if this is going to be a plot of the story, but what it seems like to me is that she's using Nora as like, so that she doesn't feel like she's lower. She's using Nora as a, like, the duff, like the designated ugly fat friend. Like, even though Nora isn't any of that, like looking any of that, but that's what it seems like. And it seems like I'm not the only one who thinks that, because Patch, which is, I'm guessing, the main love interest of this story, he does not like Nora in the slightest. And then it's brought up multiple times that he looks at her with disdain in his eyes. And I'm like, damn, disdain. But right here it says, he sounded pleasant enough, but he kept his eyes trained on V as she rose and slung her backpack over her shoulder. It appeared she couldn't move fast enough. He swept his arm around. He swept his arm towards the aisle, inviting her out of his way. And it wasn't just him. It was another character that literally just got introduced. They were already like, I don't like you. And it was right here. It was a new character that they met. And she was laying it on heavy on him about like the flirting and stuff. V was. And it says, V dipped a finger in the froth of her milk and licked it off. Is it expensive? She asked. Jules looked at her directly for the first time, his eyes stretched, showing a little white around the edges. Are you rich? I bet you are, she asked. Jules eyed V like she'd just killed a fly on his forehead. He scraped his chair back several inches, distancing himself from her. And on the chapter that I just finished, her, Nora, V, and then the two guys they met in this scene, Jules and Elliot, are like kind of like on like a double date type of thing at like a carnival or whatever. And Jules, the second he saw that V was there, he left. There's something about V that's very interesting. Like, she seems like she's not Nora's friend. And I don't know how to explain it, but that's what it seems like. She seems like she's not Nora's friend. And I think everybody else sees that too, except for her. Because even Nora has like a one line where she's like, I don't even know if I want to be friends with her anymore. And I think she was trying to be like joking. I don't know if she was joking or not. You know what I'm saying? There's not much else I want to say. But basically, in like the prologue, it talks about Nephilim. And I think that is what these creatures are. These angel-like creatures are. It says, you belong to a biblical race of Nephilim. Your real father was an angel. You fell from heaven. You're half mortal, half fallen angel. So I'm guessing that's what they're basically telling you what a Nephilim is, which is half mortal, half fallen angel. And that's interesting. So now I know what a Nephilim is. And basically the first like 50 pages was just a lot of foreshadowing. And let me explain. The first foreshadowing was when they first meet each other, Patch and Nora. And Patch is like, what's that on your wrist? And she says, a birthmark. And he says, looks like a scar. Are you suicidal, Nora? He asks, parents, married or divorced? She says, I live with my mom. He says, where's dad? She says, my dad passed away last year. He said, how did he die? She says, he was murdered. And later on you find out that he was murdered while he was buying his wife, her mom, a gift for her birthday. He was shot and killed, just like that. Which is like, he wasn't robbed, shot and killed. He wasn't like beat up, shot and killed. He was just shot and killed, as if it was planned. But that's the first thing, the birthmark, because she says later on that she sees the birthmark on him that is very similar. And they're in like biology health class, right? The coach who's doing the health class, he starts talking about, all right, today let's just get to know each other's partners, because he switched up the partners. That's why her and Patch are partners and not her and V like usual. But day 2, he's talking to the class about mates. And he uses that word specifically, mate. Nora's like, why are they saying mates? And in my opinion, it feels as if the coach and Patch know each other. They're both angels. That's what I'm guessing right now. And that the coach helped him get into school. Because later on, because the getting to know each other portion, they were like, make sure you guys know each other's names, what you guys like, da 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 da. And he wasn't answering any questions. So her and V broke into like the little piece in the front office where, you know, they have all the student records. And his folder was empty. It was blank, nothing on it. So obviously he don't really belong in this school, because later on, like while she's trying to get to know him for that first assignment, she basically says she's asked that she's going through a list of questions, and she asks about like religion, and because he's like I don't go to school, I haven't gone to school. She said everybody has to go to school. Were you homeschooled or something like that? And she's like, why didn't you go to school? He said religion. She asked about religion, and he says not religion, cult, like a cult cult. And she's like, you belong to a cult. So, and then he says, as it turns out, I'm in need of a healthy female sacrifice. I plan on luring her into trusting me, but if you're ready now. And I think he's telling the truth. I think he's telling her the truth, but she just thinks he's like doing banter with her, or like making fun of her. So that's what I think is happening. But it's also going back to that whole thing about like, this is a sign of the times. He is being very weird and awkward and stalkery to her. And so she goes to the coach and she's like, I'm here to tell you that the new seating chart and lesson plan is making me uncomfortable. And he's like, you feel threatened? She says, I feel uncomfortable and I'd like to propose a solution. And she's like, I'll tutor whoever if I could just move states. I feel uncomfortable. And he does not give a damn that this girl feels uncomfortable with this boy sitting next to her at all. And there's another scene where she's talking to her maid who cleans up her house, and she's like, and the maid says, every woman needs to reinvent her sexy side. I like that. My daughter got implants. She says she did it for herself, but what woman gets boobs for herself? They are a burden. She got the boobs for a man. I hope you do not do stupid things for a boy, Nora. And I'm like, but she could have got them because she wanted bigger boobs. Just that simple. But it's a sign of its time type thing. There's not much plot related, to be honest, right now. She thinks she's starting to lose her mind because as she was driving home, like a man came out of nowhere with a ski mask, like broke the window, tried to wrench the door off the hinges and all this stuff. And she drove back to her friend's house like, can I stay with you tonight? I think I crashed the car. And the friend was like, oh, you hit a deer or whatever like that. But when she showed the friend the car, there was nothing wrong with the car except I feel like one small crack on the windshield. She said, oh, thank God you didn't ruin the car. So it's like certain things are going on in her mind right now, and that's the main thing that's going on. I don't really care for the actual like romance or relationship. But this book is like around almost 400 pages. I'm 100 pages in. It's like 391 pages. So I have around 285 pages left. So I think I can finish this book today, and we'll see what I go from there. But I'm gonna take a break for right now. Maybe start another book, and yeah, I'll just see you when I have more updates. I might update in another 100 pages, or I might just update at the end with all of my thoughts, because I have to add the sticky notes, because it was hard for me to look through this while I was talking to you. I need to add my tabs. So yeah, I'll see you back in a little bit. Hello everyone. So I have read another 150 pages of this. So I am now on page 254. I have quite a few annotations. So let's get into it from basically where I left off, which was around page 100. So here's the biggest thing about this book. One, it kind of reminds me of the Shiver series, or I don't know if the actual series is called Shiver, but by Maggie Stiefvater. I read book 1 and I DNF book 2. It gives off that vibe. Honestly, this book isn't great. This is truly YA. And by that, I mean, like, this is the low bar of YA, in my opinion. Like, there's no thought, head empty type of book. It's not bad, but it's not good either. The main thing I have a problem with is, honestly, every boy in this book, every boy, man, whatever, makes me uncomfortable and gives me the ick. And that's bad because the main character, Patch, is supposed to be a love interest. They have no chemistry whatsoever, and he makes me uncomfortable. So does like 2 other guys. They make me uncomfortable. It's even weirder because when they banter, the banter feels targeted because I'm uncomfortable with them and how they talk to women, or just how they talk to our main character Nora. And it makes it even worse because I don't understand how this is supposed to be a paranormal fantasy YA romance type thing when every other page, every other sentence is her either saying she feels uncomfortable with him, she doesn't feel safe when she's near him, she feels like prey and he's the predator when he's around her. He's always finding her in places that she feels uncomfortable by that. He's always stalking her or like it's uncomfortable to read. And for him to be the love interest, I don't understand how that's possible. And if this is what Twilight is like when Edward was like watching her sleep, if the amount of uncomfortableness that's in this book is Edward, I will never read. I never really want to read Twilight, but I will never read Twilight. So the main thing that has happened since the last time I spoke was basically one, there's a therapist at the school, a counselor, and Nora has been going to that counselor for around a year since her father passed away. For some reason, he's now gone, and there's a new woman who is now the counselor, and she's weird and she's off and she's creepy. I think she's on the opposing side of whatever Patch has going on, and I still don't even know what Patch has going on, right? Because this is their first interaction with each other, and the counselor says, to give you a fair warning, I'm going to talk with Mr. McConaughey and see about setting some parameters for your tutoring sessions. I like all meetings to be held here at school under a direct supervision of a teacher or other faculty member. I don't want you tutoring Patch off school property. I especially don't want the two of you meeting alone. And she's basically like, and Nora is basically like, one, if Patch just got to this school, he's an exchange student. He just got to this school. Not exchange, a transfer student. He just got to the school. How do you know he's bad and whatever, dangerous to be around? That's one, right? Later on, she says, I don't mean to pry in your private life, Nora, but I thought I made myself perfectly clear concerning your involvement with Patch. And she says, I haven't tutored him, which she hasn't, but she has been hanging out with him. And she said, and the therapist says, Saturday night, Patch gave you a ride home from Delphic Seaport, and you invited him inside your house. And then she's like, how do you know about that? She says, part of my job as your school psychologist is to give you guidance. Please promise me you'll be very, very careful around Patch. This makes me think that whatever supernatural nonsense is going on, that they're obviously on opposing teams. They're obviously something going on there, right? Now, the next thing that's like, I guess, like the next interesting thing is that one of the two guys that they met at the coffee shop where they eventually went on day at the amusement park or whatever, Elliot, he's very weird. He also makes me very uncomfortable. And he makes Nora, very uncomfortable. And he's obviously trying to hit on her and do all that stuff, and she's not having it. So she looks him up and finds out that the school he used to go to was a private school, where the other guy still goes. And they find out that a 16-year-old girl hung herself from a tree, and they thought Elliot basically did it until they found a suicide letter from her. So they was like, oh, he didn't kill her. So after that, he left the school. And she's like, yeah, he did that. He definitely did that. He definitely did that. And I also agree. And also, he's just been being very weird. She keeps on saying no to him, and his eyes are becoming darker and darker and darker, eviler, eviler, and eviler, and it makes her uncomfortable. So she tries not to hang out with at all, ever. But that's another reason why I hate her friend V. Every single time, if you guys are young and you have a friend like this, you need to stop hanging out with a friend like this. Because either she's evil in this book, and I just haven't gone to that part, or this is just how the author writes a friend, and either way, not good. Because every time Nora and V are supposed to like go to the coffee shop, go to the mall together, just them two, right? She'll bring boys, and then Nora's like, I'm uncomfortable. I didn't want to hang out with guys, and she's like, it's okay. Or she'll see, like there was a scene where they were at the amusement park doing that double date thing, and they saw Patch from across the way. V's just started talking to Elliot, a guy who seems very possessive over Nora, who he isn't in a relationship with. And she keeps on egging him on purpose, being like, yeah, he really likes Nora. Patch really likes Nora. Patch has been stalking her. Patch has been doing this. Patch has been doing that. Like, yeah. they've been hanging out a lot alone together, all this stuff, weird stuff. And it was making Nora uncomfortable, it was making me uncomfortable reading it. And he was getting angry, and he was like, do you want me to handle it? And she was like, no, I'll handle it. And once she came, things happened during that scene, but once they talked again, V and Nora, V was like, yeah, while you were going talking to Patch about it, I told him that like he has a record, a violence record, this, that, and the other, so that he could get more jealous and more upset. He was very angry by the end. I said, how is that helpful? A guy we do not know, who's already possessive over me, who I don't want to hang out with or be around. We are 16 years old, because I got that wrong earlier. They're not seniors. They're in a senior class, but oh no, they're not in a senior class. Patch was a senior and he's in their class, but they're 16-year-old girls. You're making him possessive. It was really gross and very disgusting. I did not like it. She does stuff like that all the time. She's very obsessed with sex, and I find that weird as well. And a very big thing that has happened since in this 150 pages that I read was that the same guy with a ski mask who supposedly like tried to break into Nora's car, they're at the mall, her and V, and she sees him again, like on the other side of the shop, like because they're at like Victoria's Secret or something like that. Nora's like, I think someone is following me. I feel like someone's following me. And V is like, I'm pretty sure it's Patch, because Patch is weird with you. And so she's like, let's switch clothes. So Nora gives V her jean jacket and her umbrella. She goes to the car. She watches V walk away and watches the person in the ski mask follow her. So then she's like following in the car a little bit further back. Nora realizes this is like a woman type of walk. And then she hears a little screaming, and she sees V on the ground, like beaten up and robbed, basically. Because like the umbrella like hits the car, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? So once she's awake out of the hospital, she had a broken arm, a concussion, and like just scrapes and bruises. They're talking, and V basically says it was a man, but Nora is like 100% sure it was a woman walk. But V's like, nah, it was definitely a man, and it gave off Patch. I feel like it was Patch, and Nora is thinking, I think it's Elliot. If it's a guy, I think it's Elliot, not Patch. V says this, I know you don't want to hear this, but the more I think on it, the more similarities I see between Patch and my attacker. Same build, same long leg stride. Too bad his school file was empty. We need an address. We need to canvass his neighborhood. We need to find a gullible, little grainy neighbor who would be coaxed into mounting a webcam in her window and aiming it at his house, because something about Patch just isn't right. She's also very high off of drugs because she's in the hospital. And I wrote a note saying, I think V is on the opposing team with Patch. Like the guidance counselor and V are on the same team. They have to be, because this is the same girl, or V is just weird. Either this is bad writing, or V is on the opposing team, because V was the girl. The second Patch was introduced as like as a student, she was like, you need to jump his bones. Like she was being very weird with that whole wanting to have sex thing, but pushing that onto Nora the entire time. And then the second Elliot is introduced, when they meet, she's like, oh, you should be with Elliot. And now she's like, so now that Nora is like, I think Elliot is weird. Now all of a sudden she's like, Patch is evil. I'm pretty sure Patch is the one who tried to hurt me and robbed me. And it's like, what is going on? And another thing with Elliot is that when they met him for the first time at the coffee shop, it was him and another guy named Jules. Jules still goes to the private school. Elliot does not anymore. And he goes to their school. Jules is very weird. Every time he's around, he finds a reason to leave every single time. And this reminds me of the prologue. In the prologue, which I never really told you guys about, in the prologue, we don't know their names or anything like that, but it's like a 2-page prologue, and it's basically France in 1565. A guy who is a archangel and or Nephilim, whichever one, basically takes control over another guy who is Nephilim, and that's basically where the prologue ends. It's not very big or poignant at the time, right? It's just one guy taking over, like a higher up in society guy, saying like, you are now kind of like my puppet. And I think Jules is that puppet from 1565, and Elliot is the guy who took him over. Because V brings up that randomly that she was like, moment of truth, I sort of been seeing Jules on the sly. And I put in my notes before it was even read off, before I even read it, it said, that's interesting since the man always acts like he don't like that girl. Because every time they're around, Jules finds an excuse to leave. Like, there's been like 3 or 4 different instances where they'll be like, Elliot will say, oh, he has stomach issues, or oh, he had a study group at school, or oh, that man is never around. And then Nora says it. Nora basically says, that man is never around. How did you get with him if he's never around? If you've never, like, every time he's in public with us, or with you mainly, he leaves and runs amok and runs away. What is going on? So I find that weird. I don't know what's going on, but I find that weird. And then the last main thing that has happened so far is basically Nora was talking to her mom. Her mom had to go into the office for something that her boss made her go into the office for. And so she's home alone. So she goes upstairs to her room, and that guy in the ski mask is there. All the drawers to her dressers and her nightstands are open. It looks like he was looking for something. And he jumps out the window, right? She calls the cops. She stays downstairs in like the living room the entire time. By the time the cops come, they look in her room. It's like cleaned to perfection, the way she left it when she left for school that morning. The cops think, oh, you're playing around, you're joking with us. Like, this is a serious matter. You shouldn't be doing that type of stuff. One of them is very like upset. It was like, are you taking drugs? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Took it a little too far, but whatever. The other one's like, you seem still a little scared, so I don't think you're taking drugs, but something's going on, right? Then the next day, she realizes, because the cops had asked her, is anything missing? And she was like, no, everything looks fine. But she realizes the next day, she had printed out the article that she read saying that Elliot was a suspect in that girl who hung herself from a tree's murder or suicide. She had printed it out, and that was the only thing missing from her room. That's why she also suspects that Elliot is behind something. Later on that day, she's arguing with the same girl who keeps on calling V fat and whatever. They're going back and forth. Girl, let me show y'all this. It was crazy. Okay, this is how the fight starts. She's talking to Nora, and she's talking horribly about V, and Nora's not standing for it. So they're arguing back and forth. And then she says, I hope she stayed clear of those hospital meals. I hear they're high in fat. She can't stand to gain a lot of weight. And then Nora says, that's it. One more word and I'll. And Maurice says, you'll what? So it goes back and forth. And then Nora says, skank. Maurice says, geek. She says, slut, freak, anorexic pig. And then the security guard of the library is like, all right, let's calm it down. Skank, geek, slut, freak, anorexic pig. And it's just going, right? She walks outside the library, and who's there but Patch with his creepy behind. And like, she's literally running around the car over and over again because she doesn't want to be near this guy. Again, no matter if it's supposed to be a romance or not, every once in a while she'll be like, oh, I'm hot and heavy, oh, he was hot, oh, he's this. But at the same time, in the same breath, she's like fearful of her life. Like, very fearful, very uncomfortable. I don't get it. So literally, like, he's trying to get closer to her, so she's like running around the car. So like, he's where the hood is and she's where the trunk is of the car. He's like, you look frightened, you look scared, you look upset. And she tells him basically what just happened with Maurice, right? Them arguing. He takes her somewhere and they're bantering back and forth. And he says, a guy like me could take advantage of a girl like you. Better show me what you've got. And then I put, because Patch makes me uncomfy, this line does not help his case at all, right? And then she gets a knock on the door from the police officer when she's back home. And they're saying, hey, Maurice has been beaten to a bloody pulp. The security guard said, y'all were arguing. What's up? And she's thinking Patch had to do it because he's the only one I told. Other than the security guard, he's the only one who knows. So it has to be him. And I'm like, or it could be that Elliot's stalking you. But whatever. Now, I am on page 254 now. I have 140-ish pages left, so I'm probably going to read this in one fell swoop. But the last thing is, I am now officially 65% through this book. And you see this cover right here? How there's angels and feathers and things and wings. Why at the 65% mark is that the first time angels have been actually mentioned in this book. You see how I wasn't talking about nothing supernatural? Because nothing supernatural was going on. It's just been high school nonsense. This stalkery nonsense. So imagine that. It's one thing for like in Twilight for Edward to be a vampire and stalking. It's another thing if you thought he was just a regular person. Because up until now, she's been thinking that this man is a regular person. Just stalking her. Just multiple guys making her uncomfortable. Not until now has wings or angels been brought up. Basically, he got into like a fake fight with a friend, Patch. She saw a V scar on his back from like shoulder blade to shoulder blade. And she Googled it because we love a good Google. And the first match was what she thought and what she stuck with, which was basically that's how angels' wings come about. Yep. And basically, the line was, this is very interesting lore, so I'll read all of it. At the creation of the Garden of Eden, heavenly angels were dispatched on earth to watch over Adam and Eve. Soon, however, some angels set their sights on the world beyond the garden walls. They saw themselves as future rulers over the earth's population, lusting after power, money, and even human women. Together, they tempted and convinced Eve to eat the forbidden fruits, opening the gates, guarding Eden as punishment for this grave sin and for deserting their duties. God stripped the angels' wings and banished them to earth forever. Fallen angels are the same evil spirits or demons described in the Bible as taking possession of human bodies. Fallen angels roam the earth looking for human bodies to harass and control. They tempt humans to do evil by communicating thoughts and images directly to their minds. If a fallen angel succeeds in turning a human toward evil, it can enter the human body and influence his or her personality and actions. However, the possession of a human body by a fallen angel can take place only during the Hebrew month of Chesvan. Chesvan, known as the bitter month, is the only month without any Jewish holidays or fasts, making it an unholy month. Between new and full moons during Shevasvan, I'm saying that completely wrong, I'm sorry, fallen angels invade human bodies in droves. Fallen angels who have a sexual relationship with a human produce superhuman offspring called Nephilim. The Nephilim race is an evil and unnatural race and was never meant to inhabit Earth. Although many believe that great flood of the time of Noah was intended to cleanse the earth of Nephilim, we have no way of knowing it if this hybrid race died out and whether or not fallen angels have continued to reproduce with humans since that time. It seems logical that they would, which means the Nephilim race is likely on Earth today. And that's basically all we've learned about angels. And that was through a Google search. So here we are. I've been talking for 25 minutes. I need to leave and charge my camera. I'm going to read these last 140 pages in one go so I could be done. And then I'll talk to you about the last piece of this book, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the most interesting, like, lore based of it, since nothing has happened yet dealing with angels. So, yeah. See you guys then. Bye. I finished the book. My heater's on. Do you care? Let me turn it off. It wasn't great. It wasn't even fun. It was quite stupid. I put a bookmark of where we last... Okay. So I have finished the book. Yippee-ki-yay. And like I thought, the last piece of this book, the last section, was all lore drop. All of it. The first thing that happened since I last spoke to you was Nora. We already know that Nora thinks Elliot is creepy and weird. We already know that something's off with Jules. We already know that, or I know, I hate V with a passion. And by the end of this book, I'm going to hate her with even more of a passion. Patch is weird and uncomfortable. Where's Nora's mom? That we will never know. Well, we do know. She's not a great mom. Things are going on. Okay. So basically in order from where we last left off. The first thing that of note that happens is Nora's at home. She There's a knock on the door. It's Elliot. How does he know where she lives? Crazy. And he's like, hey, Jules is doing finals. He's stressed. Me, you, V, and Jules should go to a cabin for spring break. She says, you're creepy, ew, that's weird, no. And he assaults her. He joinks her out of her house, bangs her up against the wall of her house, and she's like, fighting her. And her mom walks downstairs like, Nora, hello. So he leaves. Does she tell her mom? No. Then, ooh, this pissed me off. Then her friend V calls. And it's like, hey, did you hear that Elliot wants to take us to this cabin in the woods for spring break? Nora tells her everything that happened. He's weird, he's creepy, he assaulted me at my own home, he yoinked me out of my own home. Are you dumb? He yoinked her out of her own home. So let me just read you exactly what happens. She's like, V, Elliot's planning something scary. The only reason he wants to go camping is so he can get to us alone. We're not going. She says, what do you mean we're not going? This is a joke, right? I mean, we finally get to do something exciting over spring break, and you're saying no? You know my mom will never let me go alone. I'll do anything, seriously. I'll do your homework for a week. Come on, Nora. One little word, say it. It starts with the letter Y. And she says, Elliot showed up at my house 15 minutes ago, drunk. He physically threatened me. She says, what do you mean by physically threatened? He dragged me out the front door and shoved me against the house. But he was drunk, right? Does it matter? Well, he had a lot going on. I mean, he was wrongly accused of being messed up in some girl's suicide, and he was forced to switch schools. If he hurt you, and I'm not justifying what he did, by the way, maybe he just needs counseling, you know? She goes, if he hurt me, he was wasted. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing. Tomorrow he's going to feel horrible. This sounds like the plot to domestic violence. And so she goes like, I have to go. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And then she says, but before she could hang up, the girl V goes, can I be completely honest, babe? I know you're worried about this guy and the ski mask. Don't hate me, but I think the only reason you're trying so hard to pin it on Elliot is because you don't want it to be patched. You're rationalizing everything, and it's freaking me out. She says, rationalizing? Patch didn't show up at my door this morning and slam me against my house. You know what? I shouldn't have brought it up. Let's just drop it, okay? Fine. So, what are you doing today? And they go into a regular conversation. We're moving on. This woman, I wonder how many YA kids read this book and was like, their friendship is goals. I'm scared to know. I'm very scared to know. The next thing we learn, I said I had a guess that Miss Green, which is her new therapist who's weird, is on the opposite side of Patch, whatever that opposite side is, right? But what really happened is basically some nonsense happens where V goes to a party with Elliot and Jules, gets drunk, isn't on the right side of town at all. You can literally hear her on the phone while she's on the phone with Nora, low-key getting groped by a random person. So she basically like lures Nora over there. Nora gets over there. She gets lost because she was taking the bus. She gets lost. She asks this homeless lady, hey, where is said street? The homeless lady's like, I'll tell you what street it is on if you give me that nice jacket. And she's like, fine, here. And then she's like, do you want the long way or the short way? She said the short way. She said, that'll cost you that beanie on your head. I said, that was the best part of the book. She got finessed out of her jacket and her beanie by a old homeless lady, and then forgot her phone was in her jacket pocket, so that got jointed too, right? But basically, right as that's happening, the old lady puts it on. She goes down. She's like, all you gotta do is cut through this alleyway. You'll be straight there. She said, so I got finessed out of that for something that was a block away. You telling me where I need to go was down the street? Oh, don't piss me off, right? The lady is murdered. The homeless lady murdered. You know why? Because she's wearing clothes that looks like who? Nora. Okay, but we don't know that yet, right? She calls Patch because she has no ride. She's stranded. She's cold. All this stuff. They end up at a hotel room because there's a snowstorm. Things are happening. She accidentally touches his birthmark on his wrist. And boom, memories. We go back to months ago before he became a transfer student, before Miss Green, who is her psychologist, was supposed to even know who Nora was. Basically, we find out that Miss Green and Patch know each other. They're exes. And he's like, how did you get here? How are you on Earth? Okay. And she's like, I snuck out. We don't know all the lore, but it's like, she's like, I snuck out. It's not exactly lax. Your kind and my kind. We aren't supposed to mix, but you know that, right? So they weren't supposed to be dating, but they were already dating. And we learn that she is a death angel. Like, she's like the angel of death. I think there's multiple angels of death. There's many. There's not just one. She's not the only one. But she helps souls go on to the afterlife. That's her job. She's that type of angel. And he was a regular angel, I believe. And so she's like, basically, this is where we get a lore drop of why Patch is how he is. So basically what happened is he saw a human back in a Dizay. He was absorbed with lust from seeing her. So he heard of a rumor that if you go down on Earth and you fall from heaven, you become human. And he's like, oh, I'll just live my life with her. What actually happens is that he went on the month where there's no Jewish holiday. So he fell from Earth and he didn't become human. He became the type of angel like the Nephilim thing where you have to possess a human body in order to survive on Earth. He tries to fly back up to heaven and the angels strip him of his wings because he wasn't supposed to do all that. So now he's a fallen angel. And Miss Green is here. Her real name is Dabria, but I hate that name. But Miss Green is here because she's like, I can help you become a guardian angel instead. That's still like that wouldn't be like the best angel like you were, but it's still a respectable angel, all the things. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it my way. My way is to use the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is basically, she's basically saying, don't do it. That's like a myth. It's like a legend. No one has done it. You won't do it. And she's like, how do you even know about it? It's blasphemous for you to read it. You shouldn't even know about that book. So he's like, how about you help me? They were like, he was like, fine. Since a guardian is supposed to protect a certain person from death, tell me who's at the top of your list of about to die. And they say, Nora Gray. He's like, okay, who am I supposed to protect her from? And she's like, because I'm down on Earth, my mind is all jumbled. I don't really know yet. And after some time, she's like, I know who's going to kill her. It's you. Mind you, that never gets really discussed again, kind of, but whatever. And then the next thing of important that happens is that they after she gets out of that vision, she's back from her that's horrific moment. They're just talking and arguing about back and forth. She's like, fine, just kill me. Da, 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 da. And through all this, you just learn that this man wants to murder you. He needs you so that he could be better, so that he could do this, so he could do that. She's like, so is Dabria your girlfriend? And it even says here, is Dabria your girlfriend? I could feel each ragged rise of fall of my chest. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear this answer. Not that it mattered. Now that I knew Patch wanted to kill me, it was ridiculous that I even cared. At least you know how stupid you sound. At least you know. But not stupid enough for you to not say it again? Stupid? Okay. So then, we basically learn all the stuff that was weird happening. Like, she felt like we start to learn about the robbings and the car accident and all the things, right? So basically, Patch has been the one putting memories in her head. Like when they were at the amusement park and she felt like she was going to die, that was him putting that into her head. It was also him making her seem like her phone was dead, so that when she tried to call her friend to pick her up, she couldn't. When the car was broken down, it actually wasn't. It was him over and over again. And it was him giving himself time to kill her in certain different situations, but he couldn't go through with it in any of the situations, right? Which I find very uncomfortable again. Like, you're putting thoughts into this girl's head over and over and over again. Like, she hasn't had a clear thought this entire book. Right? So, but for whatever reason, she forgives him, right? And that's when she gets a call from V being like, "Hey V, where I'm at." She and Nora's like, "Where are you? I couldn't find you in that neighborhood. Where are you now?" She said, "I'm at the school. We broke in. Me, Elliot, and Jules broke in, and we're playing hide and seek. But we need the person for teams. You should come." Elliot steals the phone away from her and says, "If you don't hurry up and come, she gonna be hanging from a tree just like that girl that you said I killed back at my old school." I hate V with a passion. She's so stupid. And then we learn while they're driving over to the school that the Book of Enoch is about a fallen angel who becomes human. You have to kill the Nephil vassal to have, that's Chauncey. In that prologue where a guy became a puppet who, an angel, Chauncey is the one who made that guy a puppet. So Chauncey is said angel that made the guy a puppet. Chauncey is a cross between a fallen angel and a human. He's immortal like an angel, but he has all the mortal senses. A fallen angel who wants to feel human sensations can do it in a Nephil's body. Is any of this making sense to y'all? Hope it is. I hope it is. Then he takes her home. Before they go to the school, he takes her home so she could change, so she could do some stuff. While she's there, Miss Green is in her house. And they're talking, and basically that's when Miss Green is just going off, being like, "He can't become a human because then he can't be with me. I want him to be with me." Girl, stand up. Stand up. This man don't want you. He fell from heaven not to be with you. Stand up. You're the angel of death. And you're fighting a 16-year-old. Get it together. And she realizes then how often, during her whole evil monologue, how often, like, Miss Green is around and knows stuff she shouldn't know. So that's when she thinks maybe Miss Green was the one, like, stalking me, doing all this stuff. Telling me, it says here, telling me Dabria, which is Miss Green, could be the guy in the ski mask. All along, I thought the person I hit with the neon was male, just like V thought her attacker was male. At this point, I wouldn't put past Dabria to deceive us both. Because she also, when V was attacked and robbed, Dabria said while she was doing her little villain speech, that she planted in V's mind that it was Patch who did it. That's why V was like, I don't know, he kind of had the build of Patch. That's why. She was planting small things. So it's like multiple angels were putting things into these two girls' minds. Multiple. Patch was doing stuff for his own purposes. Miss Green was doing things for her own purposes. And there's another person who's coming in but do something for their purposes. Let's get to that. They finally get to the school. Patch tells her to stay in the car. Do you think she stays in the car? She doesn't. Let's go back for a second, because while she's trying to do a beat down to Nora at Nora's home, Miss Green also lets it slip, like the ins and outs of what Patch needs to do to become human, to do the things that he needs to do. And basically she lets it slip. It means you're a female descendant of a Nephil, and not just any Nephil, but Chauncey, Patch's vessel. So Patch needs to kill you, or you need to die in order for everything that Patch wants to happen. So that is why Miss Green is trying to kill her first. Because if Patch does it, Patch gets what he wants, which is human, not to be with that girl. But if Miss Green kills Nora, then none of that happens. Nora just dies. They get to the school. Stuff happens. It starts to become like a little bit of a scary movie. She's running through halls trying to find Elliot and Jules and V. She finds Jules looking dead on the floor. She finds, later on, as she's still searching, she finds Elliot dying, like dying. And then she turns around, Jules is up. He's like, hey, how you doing? And then this is what happens. Did you think I was dead? I could hear the gloating, icy smile in his voice. I couldn't pass up one last chance to play with you, humor me. Who did you think the bad guy was? Elliot? Or did it cross your mind that it was your best friend could do this? I'm getting warm, aren't I? That's the thing about fear. It brings out the worst in us. It's you. Jules ripped off his headlamp and ski mask in the flesh. So every opportunity where there was a ski mask, it was Jules. The one that we barely saw in the book, the one who, whatever. So then we learned that Jules is Chauncey. Okay? Okay. Every year at the start of the Hebrew month of Chesvan, he takes control of my body. 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks. That's how long I forfeit control. No freedom, no choice. I don't get the luxury of escaping during those 2 weeks, loaning my body out, then coming back when it's all over. Then I might be able to convince myself it was really happening. No, I'm still in there, a prisoner inside my own body, living every moment of it. I swore an oath, allowing him to take possession of my body during Chesvan. I was 16 years old. That's how you know I haven't been paying attention. I lied. So, in the prologue, the kid who became a puppet was Chauncey. The person who made him a puppet was Patch. Because that's after Patch became a fallen angel. And because Chauncey is the spawn is a crazy way of saying that. He's the spawn of a human and an angel. He's technically labeled as a fallen angel, something that should not exist. So that is why Patch can take over his body for 2 weeks out the Chesvan. He tricked me into the oath by torturing me after he told me I wasn't human. Can you believe it? Not human? He told me my mother, a human, slept with a fallen angel. Did I mention I inherited a few traits from my father? Just like him, I'm a deceiver. I make you see lies. I make you hear voices. So she's basically like, if you're the guy who's in a ski mask every single time, you're like 6'8". I would have noticed how tall you are. He's like, girl, how stupid can you be? I deceived you. I can manipulate your mind. So I just made me look average and a basic man. And he's just talking ish, being like, girl, you have the slowest mind imaginable. You are the easiest person to manipulate. Girl, get it together. I was just having fun. You could have died so long ago, but I was just throwing you around the place. And I was like, damn, Chauncey, this is your descendant. She's his descendant. They tuffle, they scuffle, they do some stuff. She gets away from him. She finds V. V's knocked out because Jules, or Chauncey now, knocked her out. And she's like, I'm blind. And Nora's like, girl, there's just no lights on and the blinds are closed. You're not blind, right? Still hate her. And they are running to the exit, and Jules catches them. She's like, I'm gonna do some stuff. Run. And this is the funniest thing imaginable, because this shows you what type of friend V is. Run, I told V, squeezing her hand. He wants me. Call the police. Run. V dropped my hand and ran. Her footsteps faded depressingly fast. She didn't even give her a second thought. This girl, Nora, in the span of this book, these 391 pages, Nora has saved her or helped her out at least 8 times. V has put her in danger at least 42 times. And this girl ran like it was, she became every track star imaginable in that moment. She ran and did not look back once. And then basically what happens is that there's a scuffle. Now Patch has entered the school. They scuffle. A whole bunch of more lore drops that Jules drops. So she realizes Jules is obviously trying to kill her because he doesn't want Patch to get what he needs. But Nora found out through Miss Green and Jules doing their info dump that if she sacrifices herself for Patch, or for Patch to get his stuff back, whatever, he'll get his stuff back and Jules will get nothing. So she's at like the top of this railing and she jumps off and she dies. So he became an angel all over again, Patch. And once the descendant dies, Jules died. Because he has no soul, he didn't come back the same way Nora came back. Is that even explained really? Not at all. So then it goes, so she wakes up in her home. Wasn't she in the hospital? Who knows? Does her mom still not understand what's going on? Yep. So when you jumped, the sacrifice killed Jews. Technically, when you came back, he should have too, but since he didn't have a soul, he had nothing to receive his body. She's like, I came back, and he said, I didn't accept your sacrifice. I turned it down. And she says, are you saying you gave up getting a human body for me? And he's like, what good is a body if I can't have you? Disgusting. So she's like, you saved my life. Turn around. She's looking for angel wings. He says, you can't see angel wings. They're made of spiritual matter. So she says, you're a guardian angel now. He says, yes, I'm your guardian angel. And then the last of it after that is basically them wrapping up the story and making sure like the police and all the people, because many police were called in this book. So making sure like the story makes a decent amount of sense for like the human population, because technically Jules, in the last like 50-ish pages, Jules died in the school. Elliot was almost dead. He survives in the school. V was technically like Loki kind of kidnapped. She did everything. And that's the thing that's never like discussed, is that everything that V does in this book, she does of her own fruition. So all of the breaking and entering, all of the bringing men over, all of that stuff that she's doing, she did of her own fruition. The only thing that she didn't do that wasn't of her own thoughts was saying that it looked like Patch was the guy who robbed her. That is the only thing. Everything else she did. So even in the end, at the end of the book, when the cops come over at Nora's house, because she basically makes up a story that, because I didn't tell y'all, but Miss Green set her house on fire. She said, F you. You ain't going to come out that room. F you. I'm setting this house on fire, ablaze. But so she basically makes up a whole thing of Miss Green was crazy. She didn't even work at the school because she didn't. Yada, yada, yada. She was stalking me. She came to my home. Things happened here. That explains the burning of the house, right? And why she called the cops being like, somebody broke into my home. All of that stuff. She's tying all that into Miss Green. V called the cops when she ran out, when Nora told her to run out. And that goes into Jules and Elliot being at the school. So she didn't want anybody to know that she broke into a school. So she called from a payphone and basically said, hey, some stuff is going down at the school. So so that wasn't even wrapped up well. They just said it was a suicide. Jules jumped from the banister that she jumped from, that Nora jumped from, and he killed himself after trying to kill Elliot. And Elliot did kill that girl, by the way. Did hang her from a tree. Basically, Jules told him to do it. Loyalty to me or love to her. He chose loyalty to that dude. So he did kill that girl. This book was, I'm going to give like a 2.5. It wasn't interesting. For the first like 65% of the book, it was just her going to school and being stalked. That's not interesting. And then the other 35% was just lore dump after lore dump and nothing getting wrapped. And the book ends like that. So why is there 3 other books? I couldn't tell you why there's 3 other books. Why are there 3 other books? But yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.5. It was what it was. It was what it was. This is the same problem that Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater had, because book 1 of Shiver ended and it never needed another book. This one technically is a standalone. It doesn't need, like, you stop here, there wasn't a cliffhanger, nothing. There's nothing that says there should be a book 2. Nothing. So why is there a book 2? I don't know. But yeah, I'll read book 2 whenever I get the urge to torture myself again. Okay? Bye. Hey, what? Dead meat, dead cows, my own dead father. Don't piss me off, because girl, you need to get the hell up. He is an angel. He has things to do. Hello everyone. So I will officially be starting Crescendo today. I think I'm going to either give you what my thoughts every third or halfway through. So Still debating on which one, but I want to have some last comments about Hush Hush. My main gripe with the book, other than like it's of its time, so that stuff I'm not gonna gripe too much about because it is of its time. The main thing I want to say is it is just poorly written for every character. Every character is poorly written. The main female character is poorly written because she has no agency or no through line of what she wants. The main MMC is poorly written because he also has no agency. He basically makes things up as he goes along, but also the storyline of the angels and what's going on is a little bit confusing. So his storyline is confusing. Her best friend, the main girl's best friend, horrible. And that's the thing, is I don't think she's meant to be horrible. I think she's meant to be a good friend, but she's horrible. It is YA, and I think the author thought YA means not stupid, but not as smart. I think the author thinks that things have to be dumbed down for a YA audience, and that is not the case. Some of my favorite books, my all-time favorite books that talk about humanity and society at large are YA books, because YA books I feel like talk about society more than adult books do sometimes. But yeah, that's my main thought. So when I said earlier, like YA and it sounded like a bad thing, it's not meant to be a bad thing. I just think the author thinks it's a bad thing. I've never read Twilight or any of the things around that 2009 era, like the Vampire Diaries books or something like that. So I don't know if all of them are written this way, but if they are, I don't know if that's the greatest thing, you know? But I'll be starting this later today. I have to finish a different book, and then I will be starting this later today. We'll see how it goes. I'm very excited to start it. I'm going to be annotating it, and I think it's either going to be green annotations or blue annotations. I don't know which one yet, but we shall see. So I'll see you there. Just started Crescendo. I want to read the first 50 pages, so I just read to chapter 3, which is page 59, because, it didn't end on a chapter. I already have many thoughts. Okay, so let me just show you just the highlighted and annotated things that I annotated. The first thing I annotated was on page 2. This is a prologue. This is taking place before her father passed away. The main character's father passed away. This is the night he passes away. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. Maybe this is more going to be about him and what happened to him and all that stuff, which I'm pretty sure is going to be about. So the first thing is we're in his perspective. You know how I said about book 1, one of my main complaints was about V and how she's a horrible person and a horrible friend, and I don't like her. The father and me and the father are like this because he thought the same thing. He said, this is page 2, by the way, and he already hates this girl. Harrison, which is her father's name, picked up the phone because it was ringing, picked up the phone halfway through the second ring, expecting to hear the voice of his daughter's best friend, who had the annoying habit of calling at the latest possible hour of the night before homework was due. This girl has been using her friend since her daddy was alive. Like, that wasn't long ago, it was like a year. But I don't like this girl. I've been telling y'all I don't like this girl, and she's been annoying and she's been using people from the beginning. I have to tell you about that. This next part, honestly, is just makes it concrete in me that Ms. Becca Fitzpatrick, one, doesn't think that YA people or people who read YA or YA-aged people are smart enough to understand nuance, purple prose, any of that. But also that she's trying, at the same time as that, she's still trying to be edgy and meaningful, and it doesn't work out. All I could think was dead meat, dead cows, my own dead father. What? Dead cows? Dead father? I didn't know those two things correlated. You wanted the hamburger. Because that's what she was at, a hamburger stand. Okay. And I literally just wrote, bruh. Don't piss me off. The next thing is, I think Marcy, who was the bully of book 1, and she's still a bully, is going to turn into either a friend or like a frenemy who we have to help each other to vanquish the new enemy of this book, who there is no new enemy at this point. But mind you, this girl is horrible. She's the same age as all the other teenagers. I don't know how old Patch is. I hate that name, by the way, Patch. But the girl's at high school. They're all in the same grade, whatever. And she's a horrible person. She loves to call V fat. She always says, like, get on a diet. You need to become anorexic instead of bulimic. All of those things still stand in this book. Also, I wouldn't read this book if you're triggered by health things such as that, like anorexia, bulimia. It's used as jokes, it's used for bullying, it's used for it all. And the author likes to flip flop on whether the main girl, the main female character, is using it in a nice way or a mean way to V. I hate V with a passion, but in book one, she was mainly being like, V's a little fat, but I still love her, kind of thing. And in book two, she's more like, she's saying, me and V, we call her curvy, not fat. Curvy and fat are not the same thing. You're trying to bring power to the people with the curvy, not fat. And then V is like, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds this summer anyways, so, you know, it doesn't matter what they think of me because soon they won't be thinking that of me. All right. Something is going on with Marcy, this book, where she keeps on wanting to be around Nora. Like when Nora was thinking about that dead cow, that was because she was standing in line for the hamburger shack and Marcy was behind her and just started going off on her for whatever reason and talked about her dead father horribly, like diabolically crazy the way she did it actually, and it was kind of disgusting the way she went about it. So she says Marcy started being mean to her out of nowhere, and this is interesting because now I'm thinking something must have happened in Marcy's past that had to deal with Nora, but Nora didn't know about it because she says one day in junior high, Marcy marched into school and spray painted whore on my locker. She didn't even try to be sneaky about it. The whole school was looking on. And Patch says she went postal just like that, no reason. She said, yup, no reason that I'm aware of anyways. And so I'm thinking something must have happened family-wise behind the scenes that made Marcy hate Nora, but Nora doesn't know why. Neither do we. And after this is when I start to think Becca Fitzpatrick wrote a girl who should be in a contemporary romance book into a fantasy book and didn't combine the two. Because there is death, there is mayhem, there is stalking, there is so much going on in this world, in this book, in these couple of 58 pages that I read. Nora as a character isn't adding up with anything going on in the world. The two worlds are not colliding. And this is like, she was rambling her mind about this Patch Dusty man that's her boyfriend now. She gives Patch her dad's a ring that her father, who died like around a year, maybe less than that ago. She says, it's the most important thing in the world to me. I want you to have it. And he's like, well, that's your dead dad who you say you have so much trauma over or stuff like that. But she's like, you're the most important person in my life now. You can have it. That's not good, girls. I literally wrote, girl, get up. Because, girl, you need to get the hell up. And then she's looking at Patch dead in her eyes and says, swear you'll never stop loving me. They've known each other. I kid you not. I swear they've only known each other for like 2 months. I swear. I feel it in my bones. Mind you, this book takes place during summer vacation. She's taking summer classes to get ahead. So she's taking a class that she's supposed to be taking when school starts again. So this is taking place during the summer so far. Last book took place during the school year. I think he transferred like over halfway through the school year. So they haven't known each other that long. Love? Okay. I understand why she would think that. He sacrificed himself for her in the last book, right? Keep that in mind because I'm about to bring that up soon. The next thing is still going back to that point of like, she's in a contemporary romance while every other character is in this grungy fantasy, right? Because it says, Marcy comes up to Nora and says, what's wrong with your boyfriend? And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I saw him standing in my driveway, looking in my window. And when he saw me looking at him, when we saw each other, he ran off, right? So he saw me watching from the window and left. Should I be thinking about a restraining order? Is this typical behavior for him? I know he's off, but just how off are we talking? I ignored her, too absorbed with turning over this information? Patch at Marcy's? It had to have been after he left my place. After I said, I love you, and he bailed. What? Hey, what? A girl just said to you, your boyfriend was stalking her and standing outside of her bedroom window, and she felt uncomfortable by it, and she doesn't understand. Should she literally go to law enforcement? And you're thinking, this has to be because I said I love you 20 minutes ago? Okay. So with that, right? Because I said I love you stuff nonsense. I literally wrote down, this girl doesn't know how to make things not about trivial things. He's an angel, girl. Like, his whole thing now, after the end of last book, is protecting you. In my mind, if I was her at this time, I would be thinking, he's my guardian angel right now, so he must think Marcy's a danger. That's what I would be thinking. Is that true? I don't know. I literally don't know because I haven't gotten that far in the book. But that's what I would be thinking. And yet she's thinking it's because I said I love him. He is an angel. He has things to do. But what is wrong with this girl? The next thing that happens of interest to me, because I hate V, keep that in mind, is that basically Nora ignored V's phone call at the beginning of the book when she was out at a carnival with Patch. That's where she had that burger shack and talking about her dead dad and dead cows. And she was just like, well, I'm going to spend all summer with V, but after summer school starts, I won't have much time to spend with Patch, so I'm going to ignore her call for right now. I thought she was ignoring her call because she realized, because of everything that happened in the last book, like, hey, she's not a good friend. I was absolutely wrong. It was just because she wants to spend more time with Patch. Her and V meet up, and V's like, well, you haven't answered my calls. I've been dating a new guy, this, that, and the other, right? She's like, okay, who is it? She finally explains that it's Rickson, that is Patch's best friend, right? Who helped him figure out what he needed to do in Nora and all that stuff. He wasn't important. He's really not important now, to be honest. Not so far, right? And she's like, oh my God, we can go on double dates, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she says, no way. I'm not hanging out with that whack job boyfriend of yours. And Nora says it, and I say it. She was like, they're best friends. Don't you think that if one's a whack job, the other would be a whack job too? Like, V is so stupid and so boy crazy, it's insane. But also at the same time, hates to see Patch coming. I honestly think she hates that a hot guy like Patch even likes Nora. And mind you, I'm putting so much more nuance in it because V as a character does not make sense. I swear to you, each line that she says, even if it's in the same paragraph, each sentence she says contradicts the one above it. I swear to you, it makes no sense. She makes no sense as a character. Okay, now this right here is the main reason I hate almost every character from last book and this book. I just know it. Basically, Nora confronts Patch and is like, why were you over at Marcy's home? Like, that's being weird. You didn't say you love me back. Like, do you feel anything for me? Like, is this all a joke to you? This, that, and the other. And he's like, emotionally, I feel things for you, but no other way, really. Because they haven't gone past, like, making out. And he's like, he goes to her house, and he's like, Marcy has been in an accident. She walked in, I don't know how this happened, but she interrupted a fight between angels, and she got like stabbed or something. I don't give a damn. I really don't give a damn. And neither does Nora. Nora's like, okay, and he's like, wow. And she's like, he had a look of disgust on his face. And he's like, wow, that's disrespectful of you. That's kind of horrible of you. And he just starts talking about how, like, he's trying to protect her and Marcy. And she's like, I thought you were my guardian angel. Why is everything that you're saying now me, you, and Marcy? It's not adding up. And I'm thinking the same thing. It's not adding up. And then this I underlined. It's a full paragraph, and I had to underline it because I was like, what? How could he think this didn't have anything to do with us? Marcy was the one person who took every opportunity to attack and belittle me. Over the past 11 years, she's teased me, spread horrible rumors about me, and humiliated me publicly. How could he think this wasn't personal? How could he think I just accept this no questions asked? Above all, Couldn't he see I was terrified that Marcy would use him to hurt me? If she suspected he was even remotely interested, she'd do everything in her power to steal him for herself. I couldn't stand the thought of losing Patch, but it would kill me if I lost him to her. Mind you, this man knows not every evil thing, everything horrible that this woman has done to this girl, like everything. And I wrote, no relationship in this book is healthy or even average. Like, it doesn't even have to be healthy. It could just be not horrible. None. V and Nora, bad. V is not a friend. Nora ain't that good of a friend either, but she's not outwardly like a horrible friend. Sometimes she just puts a boy above, like, hanging out with her friend. But as boy crazy as V is, Nora might as well be a caterpillar. Like, she's not doing enough. You know what I'm saying? V is a horrible, despicable friend. Nora's mother, in these 58 pages I read, has tried to break up Patch and Nora, has made Nora, it hasn't happened yet, but it's about to happen probably in a couple of chapters, has forced Nora to come home so that she could set her up with a guy that she knew when she was in like elementary school, who used to make her eat roly-polies and stuff and pee on himself, because she doesn't want her daughter with Pat. But and then she gives the excuse of, excuse me for trying to be overprotective. You can't be overprotective and not be there at the same time. Those two things don't go together. You can't. And then she used the excuse, your dad died less than a year ago and you almost died at the end of last book, so excuse me for being overprotective. You can't be overprotective if you're never there. What are you going to be protecting, the air? I don't get it. So whatever. She's so like rude to Nora and gives Nora, it's funny since like Nora basically lives by herself because her mom's always at work or doing stuff, yet your daughter has no control over what she does for herself, which makes no sense because she's always by herself anyways. So even if you were like, don't go out at this time, do this, do that, how would you enforce that? And the only like parent figure that Nora had in her life was their like maid / like nanny that came in and came out, and the mom just fired her because she can't afford her no more. So now Nora really has no parent figure, and you still want to be overprotective? All right, miss me with that. I think her and Patch are horribly unhealthy, just for the simple fact that I'm pretty sure he's grown. Like, you know how Stefan looks grown and Elena looks more in like Vampire Diaries, and Elena looks more like she could be in high school? Like, it's giving that, but if Stefan had a beard, I cannot picture this man looking younger than 25. And I know for a fact this girl is like 16, 17. But in my head, he looks like Stefan at the end of Vampire Diaries, or Damon at the end of Vampire Diaries, the show. Like, in my head, he looks old with a trench coat, and he gives me the ick. And it's another thing in this book. It's another thing in this book of the whole like men making the women feel uncomfortable. It's another thing in this book, like in last book, but whatever. I guess because it's Marcy, it doesn't matter. I could hate a girl and still think she shouldn't feel uncomfortable because a man is standing outside her house. Whatever. And then lastly, Marcy and Nora. Marcy is a despicable, horrible, evil girl. She makes fun of her Nora's dead father. She makes fun of Nora's best friend, or V, being fat to V's face and behind her back. She makes fun of like literally everything about Nora, right? And I just think everybody in this book has a horrible relationship connected to Nora, and Nora doesn't see it. Like, I think Nora has apologized to V more than V has apologized to her, and that is diabolically crazy. To this day, since reading this series, it just makes me sad and scared that actual like 12 to 16-year-old girls were reading this book and thinking anything in this book was good, because I had weight problems and image problems when I was in middle school and high school as well. And to read something like this, I don't think that would have been beneficial to to myself. Like, I read mainly fantasy when I was in middle school and high school, so this wasn't on my radar. I didn't read paranormal. I didn't read angels. It was just straight fantasy. I was reading Throne of Glass or sci-fi, because I was reading like Cinder and stuff like that. So this wasn't on my radar, but this right here, the men make me uncomfortable and egged out. The girls either make me angry or feel sorry for them. Like, there's no in between. Like, for Nora, I think she's an annoying 16-year-old girl. Like, that's basically it. Like, she's just a main character, but she has no, like, personality, no nothing. It's just boy. I like Patch. Just I like Patch. I like Patch. That's it. All the girls in here horrible. And again, that just makes me think, Miss Becca, Miss Fitzpatrick, is this how you think girl friendships should be? High school friendships should be? Like, this is crazy. I've only read 50 pages. I've been talking for 30 minutes for 50 pages. All right, I'm trying to talk this long for the next update. Bye. Let me just say this to start. This book is a bunch of nothing. And I mean that when I say that. So here's... Okay, there's not much I want to talk about, honestly, because this book, again, like I said, is a bunch of nothing. There's no real plot. I don't know why this is a 4-book series when it should have ended after book 1, when book 1 shouldn't have been really even created. But I don't know why there's 4 books. This book has no plot yet, really. But here are some main plot points. Plot point 1. At the end of the first little section I read, Nora broke up with Dusty Patch. Did I agree with her breaking up with him? Yes. But is she annoying the hell out of me? Because every 20 seconds she's like, how come he hasn't asked for me back? How come this? How come that? Did he really think I meant it? Well, when you say, I'm done, I don't think we should be together, get out of my life, people usually think you mean it. But hey, what am I to know, you know? But one of the main things is Patch in the last book sacrificed himself for Nora, did all this nonsense. He became her guardian angel. They started dating, basically. When she's about to break up with him, she says, he's like, we're not even supposed to be together. Like, the Nephilim don't allow that. They don't like that. They don't like that we're together. So we can't really show our love or whatever like that because, you know. And she's like, why did you give up becoming human for me if you knew you couldn't be with me? What did you even expect from a relationship with me? What's the point of us? And I actually agree. Like, what the hell? I don't understand. I don't understand this man as a whole, but whatever. Next, we get introduced to a new character named Scott. He's also Nephilim, but I don't think he knows he's Nephilim. And basically, her mom sets her up with Scott, who used to bully her as a child before he left the town. And just because she hates Patch so much, mind you, a boy she's met maybe like twice, who was never rude or disrespectful to her, she just don't like him for whatever reason. And she says to her face, to Scott's mother's face, in front of Scott, he used to fry, because her mom's like, used to try to make her eat roly-polies. And she said he used to fry them alive under a magnifying glass, and he didn't try to get me to eat them. He sat on top of me and pinched my nose until I ran out of air and had to open my mouth. Then he flicked them inside. And Nora's dusty mother was like, what is so funny? And I wrote, white people bullying is different. Because what the hell is this? I've never heard some nonsense like that in my life. And that's the thing. And then, this is, mind you, they're in her house. And she's like, I'm over it. I didn't want to do this. You're a horrible mother. In her head. Mind you, she didn't say you're a horrible mother, but I'm saying she's a horrible mother. And then afterwards, right, her mom was like, okay, you don't have to hang out with Sky anymore. He seems off. He seems weird. And she said, oh, but I thought that's what you wanted. You'd rather me be with him than Patch, right? And it's like, Why would you do such a stupid thing? Oh, I hate her mom so much. Like, everybody wants this girl to be in danger 24/7. Then Nora starts having weird dreams, and she realizes the man in her weird dreams is Marcy's father. So that's weird. That's interesting. Obviously, something's going to be in play where that's why Marcy is such a bigger character in this book, which I still don't understand. I hate that girl with a passion. Other than the dreams that she's having about Marcy's dad, she's also started to see her father appearing in town. Mind you, her father has been dead for around a year, so she shouldn't be seeing him. But yeah, so the first time she saw him was at a like bakery area, and she saw her dad. She went in to go look for him, and he was not there. Scott was there, and he thought she was following him, but that was a weird thing in itself, because he was like, the more I see you, the more I feel like it's stalking. I was like, I've only seen each other twice, and once was at her house, and now a bakery. It's not surprising that you've seen her twice, but okay, weirdo. And honestly, this book is either just about Nora being upset at Patch and Marcy, or random lore drop about Nephilim. It's like, but those two things together do not make a book. So what is going on? So our first lore drop. Scott isn't any old Nephil. He belongs to a Nephilim blood society that has been growing in power. The society wants to free Nephilim from bondage to fallen angels during Sheshvin. They're recruiting members like crazy to fight back against fallen angels, and a turf war is brewing between the two sides. If the society becomes powerful enough, fallen angels will back off and start relying on humans as their vessels instead. Hey, Patch just walked up to her and started saying this. And I'm not even joking about that. Patch just walked up to her and started lore dropping. I swear this book has no plot, but I did agree with him on this part. Basically, after they broke up, again, she was like, "Oh my god, I shouldn't have done that. Oh my god, why isn't he trying to get me back? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." So she goes out with Scott to make him jealous. It's annoying because she's annoying, and he says, because Patch is there, Patch says, "I told you not to come out tonight. You wouldn't be an inconvenience if you'd listened. This isn't your world, it's mine. You're so bent on proving you can handle it that you're going to do something stupid and get yourself killed." Because again, like I said, this girl is in a contemporary romance while the world is in like a supernatural fantasy world. She's thinking about her boyfriend breaking up with her boyfriend when a man almost got stabbed through the head with a pool stick 30 seconds ago. Like, also the stuff with Marcy and Patch is heightening. While she was at that pool place with Sky, she saw Patch and Marcy there, with Marcy having her arms around Patch's neck. And then the next day, Marcy's like, it's nothing serious. We're just having fun between the two of us. You're invited to my party though. And Nora was like, again, Marcy hates me. Why is Marcy inviting me to all of these things that she shouldn't really be inviting me to? It's weird. Obviously, Marcy is trying to do something. I just don't know what she's trying to do. Nora keeps on saying to Patch, like, what is going on between you and Marcy? It's giving that it's not just platonic anything. Like, every time Nora says something, he's like, well, Marcy and Marcy and Marcy. And I'm just like, I understand that something must be going on supernaturally and you're trying to protect Nora. And so that also means having to protect Marcy, or there's something that we don't know about. Marcy's more powerful than we think she is, yada, yada, yada. But you're old enough and grown enough to understand what this looks like. Your girlfriend sees you, before y'all even break up, finds out that you were around her house, around Marcy's house, talking about her when she wasn't brought up in conversation. And then y'all break up, and immediately she sees y'all 24/7 with each other and at places together. Like the scene that just ended, she saw her father again at a party she's going to with Scott, and she follows him and she hears his voice and all this stuff, and it becomes very creepy, very scary. So she doesn't feel like it's her father. She feels like it's a morphling or something. So she runs off, and as she finds V and Scott, she also sees Marcy getting into a Jeep that belongs to Patch and driving away. I really don't understand, because I feel like at the end of this book, it's going to be a whole thing of Marcy and Patch were trying to protect Nora this entire time or something like that. And I'm going to be annoyed because Marcy's like 16, 17, but Patch is like 80,000 years old. You're grown enough to understand this. You are indeed grown enough to understand this. You're a literal angel. You have no age. So this is all just dumb and stupid in my opinion. There is no plot. There's no plot. There's no plot. I really don't understand the plot because there is no plot. So yeah. I'm officially 162 pages in. This book is 423 pages. So I have over 200 pages left. I need to finish this book because I'm over it. I'm over it. I'll see you in the next update, which will probably be in around another 100 pages or so. Bye. I have finished Crescendo. Time to give it back because I would like to be rid of this. So, manage loan, return early. Here we go. And boom. So, I stopped annotating this book like halfway through it. So, because I didn't even want to update y'all. I just want to get through the book. So, because of that, I'm going to go character by character instead of like a through line of a story, because that would be easier. Let's start off with Nora. Firstly, Nora is annoying, and I despise every character, but she's the character I despise the least, and I still hate her a lot, so that says a lot. Nora, from where we left off, she broke up with Patch, which is a disgusting name, as we all know by now, and a lot has happened. She kept on having dreams about Marcy's dad, which I already told you about. Towards the middle, I started to realize what Patch was doing. She kept on seeing her. This is the thing. Marcy was bullying, abusing this girl throughout this entire book. Since we last spoke, she threw sodas on her. She punched her in the face. She beat her up in a club. She made her, because she's a waitress, made her sing happy birthday to her when it wasn't her birthday and filmed it to put out to the entire school. And every time she did something like this, Nora will go to Patch and be like, look how horrible she is. Look at this. Look at A, B, C, D, E, F, G that she did to me. And he'd be like, she's not that bad. After he saw she had a black eye from getting punched in the face by Marcy, he was like, geez, Marcy really can't throw a punch. You can't, it seems like. And I was just like, everybody made it seem like it was her fault that Marcy punched her. But V threw a drink at Marcy at a club. Marcy punched Nora. Nora like punched her back, and Marcy walloped the hell out of her. Even V was like, damn, you did nothing. Like, at least I threw a drink. You had to be like punched into punching someone. Like, that's crazy. I was like, what is going on? Then Marcy's like, do you know why the reason I hate you is? First of all, while she was punching her at the club, she was like, this is for taking my boyfriend in 5th grade. This is for doing this. This is for doing that. And Nora was like, what the hell are you talking about? Girl, that was 5th grade. We are in high school. Like, we're like about to go to junior year or something like that. Like, we are in high school. But the reason that Marcy was so hell-bent on this 5th grade boyfriend, she wrote whore on the locker. That, the 5th grade boyfriend, all of that is because of Nora's mother. Nora's mother, Marcy presumes, was cheating on Nora's father with Marcy's father. And so technically they are half sisters. And so she wrote whore, not for Nora, but for Nora's mother. I think in her mind, Nora taking her boyfriend in 5th grade, which wasn't her boyfriend anyways, was like proving like apple doesn't fall far from the tree type of thing. And Nora was like, she doesn't want to believe it. Like, my dad is my dad. It's not your dad. Like, no. Because it also made her think, like, if that is my father, we've been in the same town forever, and he decided to raise you and not me, right? That prologue that we got at the beginning of the book, which was of Nora's father, the man that he died trying to save was Marcy's father, right? And also the flashbacks, that the dreams that Nora has been having about Marcy's father are real, but they were back in like the 1800s. So this just shows that Marcy's father is actually an angel, an archangel. And she says it throughout the book. No, she says that towards the end of the book. Like, basically, find out that he asked his friend, who was Nora's father, to protect his child, because if they knew that he had a child, they'd come for her, which ends up being Nora. So she asks towards the end of the book to Patch, like, why would he keep Marcy and not me if we're both his children? And he said, well, basically, you have a mark on you. And Marcy's dad has that same mark, and so did the guy who tried to kill her from the first book. They all have that same mark. So I just think it kind of like missed a generation with Marcy type of thing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is V don't know how to pick a good man to save her life. In the first book, she was with these creepy men luring her best friend to a school so that they kill her. In this book, she dates the bad guy of this book as well. And honestly, I would stop being V's friend if I was Nora at this point, because whoever Nora is dating is who's going to end up killing her or trying to kill her. But I guess Nora doesn't see it that way. Basically, Rickson is the guy that tries to kill, is the antagonist of this book. He's the one who's been faking being her father, walking around like the shops and stuff. And that one time where she like ran away from her father, it's because that was him and he was trying to kill her, but she ran away. He's the one, like, he tried to blow up a building that she was in. Well, he blew up the building. He just didn't blow up her. He's done a lot of things. And it was all because he was upset that him and Patch were both on the same trajectory from book one. They both wanted to either become angels again or become human. Patch wants to become human. Patch got his wish through Nora, while Rickson was still in like a limbo type of thing. So he was highly upset about it. So he was going to use Nora as his way of becoming human. He would kill her, he'd become human, it'd be the end of it. But obviously that doesn't work out. He ends up not killing her. What happened with Scott is that she thought at first that he was the one doing all the nonsense. But what actually happened is Scott tells her, like early in the book, that the night that her father dies, when he gets shot, he was working at a convenience store a couple blocks down, right? What we learn is that there's this entity called the Black Hand. That's who Nora thinks is doing all this stuff, and she thinks that Scott works for the Black Hand. She thinks that the Black Hand is Patch. So technically she thinks that Patch killed her father. And does she still find him attractive and all that stuff after finding out that she thinks that Patch killed her father? She does, of course, because this is a YA book, which is stupid. But we learned that the Black Hand had told Scott, because he was in debt and doing all this stuff, so he now was kind of like a lackey for a gang. So he just thought of it as the Black Hand. It was actually archangels. But the Black Hand had told him, watch out after Nora's father's name, I forgot his name, and follow him around, make sure nothing happens to him. And that was the night that Scott was like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of doing everything that y'all say. I'm not doing it tonight. And that's the night that Nora's father passed away. And he felt super bad. And so after that, the Black Hand was like looking for him, because they were like, this is your fault because you didn't do what we told you to do. So he ran away because he was getting like stalked by angels and stuff like that. Back to this town, and he was like, well, he came to this town honestly for some stupid nonsense, like maybe if I help you, they'll stop. We just learned that he wasn't the bad guy. He is half Nephilim, but he's not a bad guy. Patch was barely in this book, yet his name was brought up 1,000 times. And we find out his real name, and it's not much better than Patch. It's Jeff. Jev. Jeff. When I tell you, honestly, the last 150 pages were very interesting. That's when the plot started. So this 427 page book had about 150 pages of plot. The other pages, there wasn't nothing there. The actual book ends, right? Patch went rogue to save Nora from Rickson, because when Nora broke up with Patch, she said, I don't want you to be my guardian angel no more. I don't want you protecting me. Leave me alone. And that is something that you can do to your guardian angel. So the angels of above basically moved him to Marcy. So that's what I was thinking, like halfway through the book, like, oh, he's the way he's with Marcy 24/7. He's Marcy's guardian angel now, and the reason is the same reason that he was technically Nora's guardian angel. Honestly, because they're sisters. But when you turn 16, that's when the angels can kill you to sacrifice so they can get what they want. That's what Rickson and that's what Patch was doing in the last book. That's what Rickson was doing in this book. So technically, Marcy was now up for grabs because she turned 16, so she could be sacrificed and killed as well for the same means. So he was her guardian angel, and she was just using him to get under Nora's skin, but so was Rickson to make it easier for him to kill her. So he was making up lies and exaggerating things so that it could form like a tear between Patch and Nora. Marcy was doing the same thing just to get under Nora's skin because she's a bully and a horrible person. All that to say, everybody's still a horrible person in this book. Everybody's honestly even worse. I would stop being friends with V if I was Nora. I would move towns if I was a Nora. I would push it around the bridge if I was Nora. But hey, the last thing, which is supposed to be like a cliffhanger for book 3. After all this happened, all this hullabaloo happens, Patch and Nora make up. He says I love you to her, which I guess is the most important thing in Nora's life. Then they're hugging, and Mr. Miller, who is Marcy's father, walks in like with other angels and arrests Patch with other angels. And he says, let me introduce myself properly. I'm the Black Hand. I knew your father Harrison well. I'm glad he's not here to see you debasing yourself with one of the devil's brood, which is Patch, Jev. Ugh. You know the girl I thought you'd grow up to be, Nora. Fraternizing with the enemy, making a mockery of your heritage. I believe you even blew up one of my Nephilim safe houses last night. That wasn't her, that was Rickson. She went in there thinking it was Patch's home because she's never been into Patch's home before. Rickson blew it up to try to kill her. Didn't work. But no matter, I can forgive that. Tell me, Nora, was it you who killed my dear friend Chauncey Lajeunesse? Chauncey is the bad guy from book 1. So now we're learning. Honestly, I don't even understand the plot of these books. Not the plot, the angels and Nephilim and half-breed. I don't understand any of it because an angel is an angel. When they leave heaven, they can only do it at a certain amount of time, at a certain period of the year. They take over a human's body for like 2 weeks. A Nephilim is a half human, half angel. And archangels hate Nephilim, even though technically they're the ones creating them because you're having sex with a human and creating a Nephilim. And that's what Scott was. I'm pretty sure Patch was an angel who dropped down for a woman. So he became like a Nephilim, I think. My Nephilim safe houses. I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't understand the mechanics of this angel stuff. That's all I have to say about this book, honestly. It was bad. It was very bad. There was no plot for almost 300 pages of this book. About 120 pages, the plot started. So around page 300, the plot started. And it was wrapped up, and it was 120 pages. Like, nothing before that happened, and I just don't understand what's going on here. So I am done. I am over it. I need a break. I need to sit in the dark and stare at the wall for 30 minutes. I'll see you back with book 3. Bye. P-U to the S-S-Y. Nora's mother is bad and stupid and horrible. Don't piss me off. I'm going to start this off by saying this. All of these books have prologues, and not one of them needed an actual prologue. She needs to stop writing prologues. Okay, bye. Guess what it's indeed time for? It's time for silence. I wish this series would stay silent. So, I shall be starting this book today. Now, as we left off, it ended with a cliffhanger where the main bully's father, we found out that he was an angel, and technically the main bully and the main character are half siblings, and it ended with him coming to the main girl and the main guy about to beat up or take away the main guy. And he seems evil, but I don't think anybody who raises a girl like that bully can be nice. So that's that. So I'll just update you every single time something stupid happens, which you might get an update every 14 seconds. Who knows? Who knows? But I shall be starting it today. We'll see when I actually start it because I'm about to eat my Jersey Mike sandwich. So, bye. Okay, so I'm 28 pages in. I'm on chapter 2. And honestly, this book started very interestingly. Like, I'm actually, like, enjoying reading it. Basically, when I said in the last clip that the main guy, Patch, he was getting kidnapped, what was happening at the end was Hank or Henry, whatever the bully's dad's name is, his goons were holding him. So I thought they were going to take him. No, they were holding him because they kidnapped Nora. So basically, the prologue, this is the first prologue that makes sense with the story. And then I just said how prologues never make sense? Okay. So the prologue is basically Patch meeting with Hank, being like, please give Nora back. Like, I'll do anything, whatever. He gives Hank his wings to get Nora back. And then chapter 1 is present time. It's September. And Nora has no memories of anything. She wakes up standing in the cemetery in front of her father's grave, to his tombstone. Then a man like comes into the cemetery. I think he like works there, and he's like, "Why are you kids always in the cemetery playing hide and seek and nonsense?" Like, and then he realizes, "You're Nora Gray. You've been on the news because you've been missing for months." And like she's running, she's scared, and the guy's like, "I want the reward," so he's calling the cops. Right, the cop comes, and it's a cop that has been in since book 1, and she doesn't recognize him, and he's like, "You don't recognize me." Like, this man has been to her house, has arrested her. I'm pretty sure. Like, he's done everything to this woman. Like, he's like, "You don't recognize me? You've been missing for 11 weeks." She seems to remember like her mom, V, but the last thing she remembers is April, and they're in September. So it's been some time. And yeah, that's where we are. It's actually quite interesting so far. But only like things I've noted so far, I still to this day don't understand the magic system, the science behind anything fantastical going on in this world. I honestly don't. But it says Rickson was the fallen angel who used to possess his body every year during the month of Sheshvan, and he was as good as dead. So Rickson was Patch's best friends in book 1 and 2, and he was the villain of book 2. I really don't understand, because Rickson had a body because Rickson was dating V, but I'm guessing because he technically wasn't Nephilim anymore, he used a Nephilim's body, which was Hank. I really don't understand the magic system, and honestly, I don't think the author understands it either. But it's whatever. It's whatever. I'm actually enjoying the book though so far. But also, Hank is supposed to be the bad guy of this book, I'm guessing. But he is a PU to the SSY. Like, in the prologue alone, you getting beat, like getting the Mario coins knocked out of you by Patch because you stole his girlfriend. Like, literally kidnapped a girl. And he's like, ah. And I'm like, you are not a scary villain in the slightest. Like, just boing boing, Mario coin after Mario coin. And I'm supposed to be like scared that they're not going to win at the end of this book. Oh please. Oh please. Okay, I'm a little bit confused, but I think okay. Towards the end of book 2, there was a whole hostage situation with the bad guy of book 2, right? The creepy guy and Nora were kidnapped by Rickson. Nora could die, Rickson could become whatever he wanted to become. Patch, along with Nora, saved them. They got out. Rickson's dead or arrested or whatever. Right? Now, this book is saying that when that happened, that's the day she disappeared. However, the last chapter of book 2, it takes place after that. And see, I'm thinking literally cops were involved. in the whole situation. Like they found Nora at the amusement park, handcuffed or tied up, and things like that all happened. It ended. Then it was a scene where Patch and Nora were talking, and that's when Hank came up and supposedly kidnapped Nora. However, Nora, because she has no memory, she's calling me. She's like, tell me exactly what happened leading up to my disappearance. And she said, we were at the amusement park. I went to go get hot dogs. When I came back, there was gunfire, which was in book 2. You were gone. I couldn't find you. And it's been since then. But that doesn't make sense because the detective that's been in this book since book 1 saw her after that. I honestly think this woman doesn't know her own story. Or I'm missing something. Either she doesn't know her own story or I'm missing something. And I don't think it's me, but it might be me. I really don't know. I really don't know. Actually, I really don't know. Because both scenes, the scenes are the same. They go to amusement park. That's where she gets kidnapped, and that's what V is saying. There was gunfire because that was the distraction that the bad guy from book 2 made so that no one realized that she's missing. All of that makes sense. But it's the fact that she wasn't kidnapped for long. Patch saved her and she helped along the way to save herself. And then cops were involved. And I feel like the last scene was at her house. Okay. I'm not gonna think too hard. I'm not gonna think too hard about it. Okay, I should have read a little bit further. That's on me. Because what I said was true. She did go home. They said they're saying that after that, the police drove her home, and that's the last anybody saw of her. So, like I saw, it was correct. Patch and her were at her house, and that's when they got taken. Okay, that's on me. I should have read a little bit further. Okay, everyone. Hello. It's the next morning, and last night I read 55% of Silence, and honestly, I have thoughts. I wrote them down. Let's get into it. First, Nora's mother is bad and stupid and horrible. Like what? And what I mean by this is she's bad and stupid and horrible. Because what? Because you mean to tell me this girl has been missing since July. It's September. And the first thing you really tell her is that you're dating Hank Miller, who we know is the bad guy of the story, right? You're dating Hank Miller. And that's the only thing you really did during this time that she's been kidnapped and been missing. Started dating Hank Miller, right? And then you get this girl back. And the first thing you want her to do is have a dinner with Hank Miller. And the reason this is so horrible and disgusting isn't just because what were you doing for those 5 months? Just sleeping with this man, which we already know from book 2 that she is his daughter. So I'm pretty sure the mom was cheating on her father, on Nora's father. You know for a fact that your daughter has a horrendous bully. And she bullies her so hard that you know about her. And mind you still never did anything about it, right? Like go to the school and everything like that. So that's already disgusting of a parent anyways. But you never did anything about it, but you know how horrible this girl is to your daughter. Calling her whores and sluts, and mind you, they were in middle school, and it was like, she's a horrible person. And then for you to be like, you're dating the guy, and then Nora's like, you're dating the guy whose daughter for 11 years to this day terrorizes me at school and anytime she sees me out in public. She's like, but he's not like that. No, he has a demon spawn as a child. And you say he don't know? Oh, please. And then she has the audacity. Again, this girl just was kidnapped for 5 months. That's what everybody thinks, right? Which she was kidnapped. But like, you know what I'm saying? She was kidnapped for 5 months. And you have the audacity to leave a note for her when she gets back from school or outing with V, whatever she was at, and says, don't wait up. I'm going to a concert in a different city with Hank. If I was a mom who just got her daughter back after being kidnapped for 5 months, she has no memories of like 7 months. I mean, okay. She lost her memory for 5 months. She's been missing for 3 months. July, August, September. So yeah, for 3 months. I mix those up. But she has no memories for the last 5 months, and she has been missing for 3 months, and I'm leaving her left and right. I'm like, she is. You don't understand. I don't even know if Becca Fitzpatrick meant for the mother to be horrible, but in every way possible, she's horrible in every way. She automatically thinks Patch is the one who kidnapped her, right? She was like, do you remember, like, because she was like, do you remember who kidnapped you? Was he always wearing black? An unsavory character? She was like, I don't remember, I don't know, right? And she's describing Patch, like, so the reader knows she's describing Patch. But she's like, who is this guy that you're describing? And she's like, listen, I've only met him a couple of times. You know, he wore all black. He hung around like pubs. He worked as a busboy in a diner. It's just like he wasn't going to the same places as you, so he was just not good for you. I think he even smoked. He was older than you, and I was like, the only correct thing you said in the entire thing is that he's older than you, and maybe that he smokes. But nothing else you said matters in the slightest. Like, she hates Patch with a passion, but literally in this book, Patch has never done anything to her, and because he knows that that's Nora's mother, he's even nicer to her. So I really don't understand her, and I really hate her. I really hate her as a character. She's a disgusting, horrible mother who has never raised her child, and honestly, right now, it seems like the father must have been the one raising the daughter, and now that the father has passed away, she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. So she's just never there. Also, like, Nora is so upset about this, and she's basically like, are you just with him for his money so that, we don't lose the house or whatever like that? And the mother doesn't answer. So she's like, oh, okay. So you're making me go on introduction dates. He's giving me snide comments about my mental health after I've been kidnapped. All this stuff. Like, he's not even being nice to Nora in the face of the mother. And she's still like, but he's such a great person. Don't piss me off. And she's like, and you're doing all this for money. Great. And also, the dad hasn't been dead that long. I think it's been around a year. And people move on at different speeds, so you can definitely move on after a year. But it's just weird that you moved on with a person that the mom doesn't know that Nora knows, but that was kind of friends with your husband, and who's the father of me. Hello. And who, again, Nora just found out that Hank is the one who had her kidnapped and stuff like that. So he's also my kidnapper. Like, you have no good taste in men whatsoever. Disgusting. And I'm just like, she pisses me off. And the second thing is, when Nora has no memories, she is so much smarter. She can see when people are leading her to answer certain questions and when they are lying. This is the smartest Nora has ever been in any book ever. Like, she's so smart. When her mom is asking her certain questions about Patch, she's like, I don't know who this man is, but you're leading me to a certain person. Why? I want to know why. So she starts like being an actual like sleuth detective and like doing things. Like, she's so smart in this book. She still has her moments of being like, I'm in a dangerous situation, but yes, it's still about me and how I feel. So let me stop in the middle of this dangerous situation and talk about it. Stupid. But like, she's so much smarter. She understands body language so much. She stands up to Marcy so much more. Like, honestly, losing her memory is the best thing that ever happened to her. I don't understand why Becca didn't write her like this since the beginning. That would have worked so much better. But again, Becca, we realize, cannot write. And so far, this book has the highest rating, book 3. And it's because, and people always say book ratings should go up, but book 1 had almost 750,000 people read it. Book 2, it was down to 300,000, 250,000, something like that. No one wanted to read book 2 because book 1 was so horrible. You can't have your book 1 be so horrible that you can't write a book 2 because no one wants to read that BS. By the 4th book, it has barely any readers compared to what it had in the beginning. And I'm just like, because these books aren't good at all and they don't get better. So the fact that book 1 was bad, book 2 was also bad, and then book 3 right now, the one I'm reading, is the best one. It's kind of crazy and kind of great, but like at the same time it's not, because no one's here to read it because they already left. So, next thing. Everything that has happened in books 1 through now 3 that I'm on takes place in 5 months. I didn't realize that, but then they said that, and I was like, oh. Because basically, in book 1, they're in school. In book 2 is during the summer. In book 3 is right when school starts again. Patch comes to school right at the end of the school year. And then summer happens right after, like summer break. And then school starts again in September, which means they're in the north, right? So I was just like, all of this nonsense has been going on for 5 months. And that's the thing. She lost her memory from the second, like right before she met Patch. That's what the thing was. Hank took away her memories right before she met Patch. Because that was kind of like Patch's deal with Hank. Like, let her go back. I'll do whatever you say, whatever. Just let her go back and not be kidnapped anymore. And he took his wings and yada, yada, yada. But I was just like, 5 months? And the next note I made was, this book might actually get a 3-star. Like a 3 or a 3.5. Because I'm actually enjoying it. The other books I was reading in like a day. Or like trying to read them in a day. Because I was like, I cannot keep on reading this for over a day. I can't. These books are disgustingly stupid and horrible and bad. Like bad sexual harassment, sexual assault, everything. Just bad. But this one is actually good. Like, it's not great. It's not breaking any barriers. It's not even holding up with other 2009 angsty paranormal. It's not doing any of that. But it's not bad. And that's all I wanted, was these books to not be bad. But that was a big ask on my part. A big one. Okay. The next thought I have is, they taught us what Nephilim are again, and it was needed because I did not understand. I honestly still don't understand how Nephilim work, and that's never going to change. And they keep on giving us the backstory that they've been giving us since book 1. And honestly, in a regular book, I'd be so upset. Like, you don't know how to write. You keep on reminding the people who have been here since book 1 about the Nephilim like we don't know. But at the same time, it's needed. Like, because you're so bad at writing and explaining characters and explaining the lore of these angels that I still don't know what they do. But I think I have it because of one paragraph. I think I have it. Let me, hold on. Okay, so Hank is talking to Patch. He's like, it doesn't matter what he's saying before, but he's like, they lost when your kind fell. They lost again when you created the Nephilim race. They can lose again, and they will. All for more reason you should act now. We have one of their own, giving us the upper hand. Together, you can turn the tables. Together, we can turn the tables together, boy. We must act now. Basically, I think the origin story is archangels, or just angels in general that's above in heaven, whatever, fall from grace to earth, dibble and dabble with humans, and that makes Nephilim. Half human, half angel. But the only way those fallen angels can get power again is during Sheshvan, which is 2 weeks out of the year. And they can possess a Nephilim's body so they can have any slightness of their angel powers back. Because Nephilim have powers. It's not as grand as an angel. They don't even have wings, but they run very fast. They can heal. Things like that. They basically remind me of vampires without fangs and blood drinking. Like all the attributes that vampires have, they have. Lastly, even though this book is the best, it is still a useless book because it's just repeating everything that happened in the first 2 books because Nora has no memories. And that's basically what this book is. There's obviously a plot of her trying to get her memories back, but the book is basically just, do you remember this? Do you remember that? How about this? How about that? Let's go back. Back then, I said to you this. Yeah, you don't know who Patch is? Patch is... Oh, Marcy said that she did Patch. No, that was actually you. And it's like, it's good for Nora as a character, but not good for the reader, because guess what? We read it. So I'm on page 237. I have less than 200 pages left, like 190 something, and I will be finishing this today. But right now, I don't feel like reading it. Okay, so we're back. I'm 70% through. I have around 120 pages left, and I don't have many thoughts from this little section that I read, except for it's now like not concrete evidence, but like known that Nora's mom isn't dating Hank voluntarily. Basically, he's mind melding her mind, which is gross because I'm pretty sure they're having sexual relations, and if it's not consensual, that's gross. But they don't. But this author does not make a big deal out of non-consensual things as she should. So that's not surprising to me that it's not taken as that big of a deal. It's mainly just they on surface level, like, I can't believe you're dating gross Hank, who's Marcy's dad, and he's the guy that kidnapped me. Which is all bad, but at the same time, he's most likely assaulting your mother. And that's not being talked about at all. The other thing I just wanted to like mention, like just some like background information, which is like there's a mark on Nora's wrist, and Patch says, or Jev says, the mark on your wrist is not a birthmark. I've seen it twice before. On my old Nephil vassal, a man named Chauncey, which is the villain of book 1. Hank Miller also has the birthmark, which is Nora's biological father. The mark links you to their bloodline like an outward expression of a genetic marker or DNA sequence. Hank is your biological father. And he honestly Hank hates Nora, and I really don't understand why, to be honest. Like, he's saying that she's a disgrace, and like if your father was here, he'd be disgusted that you're hanging with Nephilim filth, half breed filth nonsense. I don't know. And like Patch brings up being like he calls Nephilim half breeds as well. I just think it's interesting. But I learned this is like actually interesting. If she would do anything with it, she like it's only brought up in this book, so it'll probably be a catalyst for what happens. But I find this very interesting. But I know she's not gonna go anywhere with it. When the archangels banish a fallen angel from heaven and rip out his wings, they keep one feather for themselves. The feather is meticulously filed and preserved. If the occasion arises where a fallen angel needs to be chained in hell, the archangels retrieve his feather and burn it. It's a symbolic act with inescapable results. The term burn in hell isn't a figure of speech. So they chain them up in hell. If they burn the feather, they will burn in hell. And I find that interesting. And that's what Patch did to Rickson in the last book. That's why nobody's going to find Rickson ever. But I find that piece of information very interesting. That's a very interesting way of doing things, because basically when they make an angel fall, when they like basically like as they're falling, like sometimes if they fall voluntarily, they still have their wings on. So as they fall, they have like by the time they get to Earth or get to whatever, they have like 1 or 2 feathers left because they've like burned all off. But if it's like a punishment that an archangel does to another angel, then they cut them off and they just keep one. And I'm just like, wow, that's quite interesting. That's all I have to say about this section. In the next section, I will finish the rest of this book, but I'm taking a break because I'm over it. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm finished. I am indeed finished. I have finished Silence, and I don't have honestly many thoughts, to be honest. The bad guy was defeated. Woo, Hank was defeated. I don't like that it seems as though Marcy is getting a new storyline of she's not as bad as we thought she was, when literally all the things that Nora was seeing, because she was having hallucinations after losing her memory, were Marcy. Basically, Hank, who's her father, said, let's play pranks on Nora. She said, okay, Dad, let's do it. And she didn't think nothing of the sort was bad, breaking into Nora's house, doing all this nonsense, until she literally saw a woman in a cage at the end of the book. There is nothing good about this girl. Not a single cent good. She's sad and crying because there's a woman in a cage. She should be sad and crying because there's a woman in a cage. At the same time, you were gaslighting a 16-year-old girl into thinking she was going insane, breaking into her house, lying to her face, like bullying her relentlessly for 11 plus years with your father, the man who was dating her mother, and you did not find that weird? I swear, disgusting, honestly, disgusting. And Scott is in this book, and he is a character from book 2. And honestly, Nora and Scott had the nicest relationship. And he was around her age. He was nice to her. He wasn't weird with her. All this stuff. They had good banter and chemistry just for her to end up with Patch. It's like, this book wants to piss me off. I always say don't piss me off, and what do? They keep on pissing me off. Also, I just have notes about some weird things that was in the book. Like, I really do think she should be with Scott. Like, Scott should be the person that she's with. But basically, at the end of this book, what happens is Hank basically kidnaps Nora again, says, I'll kill your mother and V if you don't swear loyalty to me. And they were in the car together, and there was a car accident. And she was a little woozy afterwards. But what happened while she was unconscious, he did a blood transfusion of his blood and her blood, so that now she's fully Nephilim. So he makes her swear loyalty that you'll lead the Nephilim army as my successor. And she does. She ends up killing him. So now she's the leader of the Nephilim army. And there's most likely going to be a war in book 4 between the Nephilim army, the fallen angels, and the archangels. Who cares? It's a book. And honestly, I'm thinking of giving it 3 stars. Oh, crazy. I'm pretty sure for a fact, in book 4, won't be getting a 3-star. But here we are. That's the end of that. I hated the second half a lot more, but at the same time, this is the best book in the series so far, and it's a 3-star. So that's saying a lot. It is what it is. It's another book. I'm over it. I am indeed over it. But I can unaddict myself. I hate V with a passion. It's crazy and diabolical. Okay, so I have officially started Finale, the 4th and final book in the Hush Hush series. I'm already 25% through. I don't have the physical copy, so I've just been listening through audiobook and taking notes while I'm listening. And I have quite a bit of notes already, 25% in, so let's get into them. It was a time. First of all, why does this book start with a here's what you missed on Glee moment? Like, literally Nora does a recap of who she is, who V is, who Patch is, who Scott is, what happened in books 1 through 3, as if, no, this is not a TV show where there's a previously on Hush Hush series. No, we're not doing that. Also, that just proves that you know, like I know, that we all know, that there's no plot to these books. Okay. As long as we all understand that. Okay. This is a scene. They're at a club. The club/night bar that they've been going to since book 1, basically. And V is dancing. And Nora says in her mind, V's favorite program must be BET, since she's dancing like she has hip hop in her soul. Right. How do I feel about that? Let's test the winds here. It's giving, what is it giving? Racism? Oh, I was really doing the Cynthia Erivo, like calculating in my brain. How do I feel about that? I'm uncomfortable. But what is that? And I still can't figure out what that is. What the hell that is. Gross. I just think it's gross. There's a scene where basically the Nephilim, this guy who we saw at the end of book 3, who's friends with Scott, I guess, who works for her father. Mind you, she doesn't trust any Nephilim who work for her father because her father was evil. Nora's stupid behind decides, you know what I'm going to do? Since I don't trust anybody here, since they're all scary and I feel comfortable around all of them, I'm going to leave one of them in charge of my best friend. I'm going to leave this bar, this place that we're not supposed to be in the first place, and I'm going to make sure that this Nephilim that I don't trust and don't like gets my best friend home safely. Because that's what a friend does. Right. Because that's what I would do as a friend, you know. I'm pretty sure you would do the same thing, you know. I think we would all, yeah. This is a comment on the book as a whole. In the over 25%, I think I'm like 26%, 27%. I still think that Nora is in her own world when it comes to romance and life or death situations. This book is the fourth and final book in the series. This book culminates in there might be a war between Nephilim, who are half human, half angel, fallen angels, who take over Nephilim's bodies for like a couple weeks, couple months out the year, and angels, archangels that's still up in the heavens doing stuff. This is going to be a war between Nephilim and fallen angels, I believe. The fact that I'm saying I believe, and I'm in book 4, diabolical. And she's still like, if it has nothing to do about love between me and Patch, it has nothing to do with me. Literally, book 3 ended with her taking over the Nephilim army as her father's successor. But we're 25% into this book, and that's not clicking for her. But okay, pop off, sis. Okay, pop off. The next thing that I was like, oh, there's no way. Oh, there's no way that in the final book named Finale, there's no way in hell that there's a fake dating plot in this book. Because basically, Nephilim are like, we don't like that you're dating a fallen angel, Patch. So you need to get together, sis, and break up with him. Maybe even him. And she's like, oh my God, I would never. So the guy who she trusted to take care of her best friend V is like, just fake date me and, whatever. So now there's a fake dating plot. There's a fake dating plot in the final book of a series about half angels and fallen angels and archangels murdering each other. That's just crazy to me, in my opinion. But again, Becca Fitzgerald, she really does know how to write, you guys, don't you think? Okay. About this whole fake dating plot thing, right? This has to do with the next 2 points that I have. While they're thinking about it, Patch and Nora, like, we need to do like a public breakup type of thing so that people actually believe that we're broken up. And then I have started dating the other guy, right? And they're like, whatever. And she's like, it's just so hard to even think about breaking up with Patch. Death is preferable to breaking up with Patch. Let me repeat that again. Death is preferable to breaking up with Patch. A man whose name is Patch, we don't know his last name, and his real name is Jev. Death is preferable than breaking up with that way too old man for her. And this is not even like in Twilight where Edward looks 17, he like died and people being her at 17, so he could be a million years old but he's still 17, whatever. No, this man is a grown man. This man in this book, he was never 17. First of all, even if he was 17, I'm pretty sure this book starts when she's 15. So that's still a little too big a difference for me. That's like a senior being with a sophomore or a freshman, depending on your grades. So they're talking about this, and they're talking about how they're gonna lie, how they're gonna make up a little ruse for it. Just thinking, using your brain muscles, which Nora has not many of. Just thinking about breaking up started to make Nora cry. She's cried more from thinking about the breakup than when she found out her mother was being mind manipulated by her father, which basically, in my opinion, means sexual assault because she didn't actually consent to anything in that relationship. Or the fact that V's mind has been manipulated so hard that she has certain emotions that she can't control because it left blank spots, but she knows that she has a deep resentment towards men and she doesn't understand why. She didn't cry as much when she found out that Scott was the handler for her loving father and didn't show up to his job that day, and that's why her father's dead. You see all the things that she could be crying about, and how the thing that's making her cry is thinking, not even it happening, thinking that her and Patch will break up. Okay. Again, Becca Fitzpatrick, she knows how to write a book, doesn't she? Oh, Okay. I think out of everything in this book, I honestly, and what I'm about to share with you, I think is the part of this book that I think is the most heinous, disgusting, blatantly overlooked piece in this book. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot that needs to be talked about in this book that is bad, right? Marcy, the person who's been bullying this girl, I think she's 16 or 17 right now, 16, basically her entire life, since elementary school, her entire life, basically. That Marcy, the Marcy who wrote whore on her locker, talks flippantly and blatantly about her dead father, the good one that she had, not the adoptive one, not the biological one, has called her mother a whore, has like embarrassed her horribly and disgustingly in front of groups of people. Her bullying is so malicious and so disgusting and so horrible and so mean, and she has no literal reason to do any of that. That Marcy, who when Nora had no memory, lied and was like, "Oh, I dated Patch. He was my fling for the summer. You don't know him." The Marcy who manipulated and wanted to steal from her. The Marcy whose dad said, "Let's play jokes on Nora. Since she's mentally not there right now, let's leave scary notes in her bed. Let's steal stuff from her. Let's do this from her. Let's break into her home." That Marcy who did all that stuff while that girl had no memories. That Marcy. That one right there. That Marcy says to Nora, "Well, I'm just going to move into your home. I'm pretty sure your mother wouldn't mind." And why would she be saying this? Basically, at the end of book 3, Marcy realizes, "Oh, my dad is not a good guy. I thought we were just playing a little bit of jokes on Nora, but turns out you're an evil villain with superpowers, and my mother is also a Nephilim, and y'all have been lying to me." This, right? And then her father disappeared. Nora killed him. Her father disappeared. She doesn't want to be in the same house as her mom, and none of that other stuff, right? Whatever. I don't give a damn. So she pulls at the party. She pulls Nora aside and is like, "Hey, do you know anything about where my father is?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Do you know anything about me and my heritage that I might need to know? I'm feeling a little sick, and is it because of my Nephilim blood?" Nora knows that Nora and Marcy are half sisters, and Nora knows that Hank had Nora knowing that she was gonna get sickly and die because she's not as powerful as Nora, and Nora won't get sickly and die. I forgot why. I really don't give a damn. So Nora's thinking in her head, "Oh, you're sickly. You feel sick because that's the whole point. You're sickly and you're dying, right?" But she doesn't say that to Marcy. So Marcy's like, "I don't want to live with my mom because she's thinking that he's gonna come back and that there's no way that this guy who's so powerful would leave his whole family, blah, 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 blah." And so she's like, "So I'm just going to stay at your home." Now, I haven't gotten to the part, I'm only 25% in. I haven't gotten to the part where we see if that actually happens or not. But if Nora's mother allows her to stay at that home, disgusting. I already let things go that Nora's mother did in book 3 because she was being manipulated physically, mentally by Hank. Like, literally, powers, manipulation. So all the stuff like, "Oh, you started dating a man while your daughter was kidnapped," that's crazy. All that stuff, I was like, okay. But you have your full brain power now. If you allow this dusty, gross, disgusting girl to stay at your home with your daughter, oh, don't piss me off. Especially since Marcy has also embarrassed Nora's mother in public. That's even crazier because it happened in book 3. And Marcy has never once apologized or even looked sympathetic. Even at the end of book 3, where she realizes, "Oh, my dad is evil," and like cackling maniacal evil. She's like, "I thought we were just playing in pranks and bullying Nora. I didn't think you were evil like this." Any grown man who tells his 16-year-old daughter, "Let's play pranks on another 6-year-old girl," is crazy and diabolical. What's going on here? Like, you don't see that? Okay. Okay. Am I okay? No. Am I mentally I just want to jump off a bridge. This book makes you want to jump off a bridge. Okay. The next thing I have is like, Nora keeps on making V do things like, hey, help me with this, like, make everybody leave this bar, or distract that guy, or do this, stuff like that. And V is like, girl, what is going on? Nora tells her half truth, and V's like, I know you're not telling me the full truth, so I won't tell you my full truth. Nora's like, so you're keeping secrets from me? She said, are you not doing the same thing? Which she's keeping 55 different secrets from V. And here's the thing, I don't give a damn what V's secrets are. I hate V with a passion. Like, Marcy is my number 1, V is my number 2, and Patch is my number 3. That's 50% of the characters in this book. I hate them all. Including Nora. Marcy's my number 1, Patch is my V's my number 2, and Patch is my, like, they're all gross, horrible, disgusting people. All of them are gross and horrible and disgusting in many different ways. So I don't give a damn what your secrets are. I don't care if because honestly, I'm pretty sure she's gonna say something like, oh, I'm an angel. Oh, I'm supernatural in some way. Oh, I'm a werewolf. I don't know what she's gonna say. And do I give a damn? Unless she says, hey, I'm Jesus Christ, I'm God, I don't care. And even if she says that, I'm like, ooh, you're the reason I'm not a Christian. V being God is the reason I'm not a Christian. Because that would be horrible and disgusting. The next thing is, this book feels like it's book 2 when this is the 4th and final book in the series. Like, there's no fast paced, there's no on the edge of your seat, there's no, like, we're going towards something. And the thing that we're going towards in this book, supposedly, is the fact that there's a war coming between Nephilim and fallen angels. However, one, the fact that the war hasn't even started yet means there's no climax to this series at all. Like, let's give an example of An Ember in the Ashes. Book 4, they're at war for like half that book, if not more. People are dying. People are almost dying. People are getting, like, it's a battle. Battles are going on. Let's give Kingdom of Ash. For most of that, I think for all of that book, they're at war in that book. Because the final book is supposed to be where you have the most losses, the saddest parts, the happiest parts, the whatever parts. What is going on in this book where nothing is serious, nothing is looked at as this has to happen, this is urgent. Nothing is urgent. That's what I'm looking for. Nothing is urgent. And it's like, what is going on? Just from a writing standpoint, what am I reading this for? Because what's giving is that they'll go through this book and they'll be like, we're trying to stop a war from happening. Okay, but for 25% of this book already, you're mainly talking about a breakup. How urgent is this war that might happen and kill all of Nephilim, all of fallen angels? Humans might be casualties. Yet the thing that's getting you worried the most is a breakup. The thing that's getting you worried the most is that your best friend is keeping a secret from you. Even though that's hypocritical because you're keeping like 45 from her. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. And the fact that 25% through this book, that's the plot of the book. Nephilim are trying to kill all fallen angels. That's the plot. And they say that as like a cliffhanger to a chapter, like the chapter that I just finished, as if that was news. I thought we all knew this. God, are you there? I thought we all knew this. I thought, at least since book 3, minimum since book 3, that, hey, Hank, the leader of the Nephilim, doesn't like fallen angels. This is making me have feelings. Just so many feelings in my bones, in my body, in my heart. Those are all my notes that I have so far. I I thought we all knew this. I thought we all knew this. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we didn't all know this. Maybe I'm just so super duper smart. No, I'm no. I think a 4-year-old could have. I think any child who's old enough to read chapter books could have understood that. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. But that's where we are in this book. I'm like 26% through. I have 3/4 more to go. I could read minimum half, if not all, this book tonight. But do I have it in my bones to do that? We'll see by the next update. If I just want to go to sleep, crawl into a ball and go to sleep and never think about this book again and have to finish it tomorrow. Or I'm so angry and so peeved off that I finish it in one sitting, standing up, looking dead into a wall while listening to the book so that I will never have to read the series again or anything by Becca Fitzpatrick again. We'll see which one I do. Both are horrible. Both I don't want to do. Both might get done. One or the other will get done. Okay, it's 10 p.m. I am halfway through the book, so another 25%. And honestly, I don't have that many notes as much as I did last time. I only have a couple of bullet points here, mainly because nothing is going on and it's just relationship nonsense. And who cares about relationship nonsense when I hate the relationship, I hate the people in the relationship, and that has nothing to do with the plot. Okay. The main 3 points I took away. The first point was there was a scene going on. Do you care about the scene? Because I don't care about the scene. But he's teaching her, like, you need to be better at your mind melding powers. And he's like, let me show you. And he mind melds her to think that she wants to kiss and maybe even go further with him. And she kind of breaks it at the last second, like at the last minute. And instead of being mad at him for being like, hey, that was weird, that was uncomfortable, you shouldn't have done that, she's like, hey, you shouldn't have done that because Patch will be mad at you. Not because I'm uncomfortable, not because you did it without my permission, not because there was no consent given. No, Patch will be mad that you kissed his girlfriend, so you shouldn't do that. And she repeated that multiple times. So that's what she believes. And in my head, that means that's what who? Becca Fitzpatrick believes. Got it. Next, the mom did indeed allow Marcy to stay at the home. Both Marcy and Nora assume that Nora's mother and Marcy's mother are still under the control of Hank, even though Hank is dead. His power was so powerful, so magical that they're still under his control, because Nora's like, my mom is still acting the same way she acted when Hank was here, like all lovey-dovey, can't think of anything else but Hank. She's still doing that now, and I just think it's so gross. I really hate is a strong word. I really dislike Becca Fitzpatrick for writing these books, and it's because there's so many things wrong. The sexual assault, the glorifying fat phobia, which honestly they're not fat in the slightest, which is crazy. This whole bullying thing, halfway through the book, Marcy still hasn't apologized once ever. So again, what is the point of this? I really don't know. And my last note was, I hate everyone so much. So that's where I am. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that I was listening to in this section was just romance stuff, romance drama. And there's 50% left of this book. It's not that much left of this series. So for me to actually care, there'd have to be stuff going on. And we all know that they're going to end up together. If they don't, that'll be the surprising part. If one of them die. Or if both of them die. That'd be nice. That'd be real nice. But yeah, I really don't care about anybody in this book, anybody in this series. I honestly like Nora the best, and that's saying something because she's not great either. She's not great in the slightest. Again, go back to that BET comment that she made. Hater, stupid, dumb. But I hate everybody in this book. I think the only person I actually enjoy reading is Scott, but he's a side character, so he's not there often. He's just a sweet boy. Just a sweet boy. Nothing's going on with him. And I love that. And he's like a himbo type of sweet boy. But I think he actually is smart. So he's not really a himbo, but the look of a himbo. But yeah, that's it. I'll read the other half tomorrow. I took my melatonin at 10 p.m. So I'm hoping to go to bed before midnight. I haven't done that in like a week. So that's why I could have stayed up to finish this book. But this book is not worth my mental health or my sleep schedule. So it'll get read tomorrow, which hopefully means we could end this vlog actually during the day. Because every time I update y'all, it's nighttime. So, yeah. Bye. I've finished. I have officially finished Finale by Becca Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was bad. I don't know if you expected anything else, but it was bad. Let's go over my final thoughts. So these final thoughts are the last 50% of the book, okay? So first, not much plot going on. Honestly, for a book where the main character is Nora, she's not doing anything to help anything, ever. But the first main thing I want to talk about is her mother. Hated her to the very end. And the fact that she hates Patch with a passion when she's met in Patch like 3 times maybe in this book, and she just assumes he has something to do with her kidnapping, right? Which, okay, he's a bad boy, all this other stuff. She hates him with a visceral passion, and she's like, ever since you met him, things have been going wrong, right? Basically, ever since book 1, right? When in all reality, everything ever that has ever happened in any of these books is her fault, technically, because she is the one who slept with Hank, cheated on her husband with Hank, got pregnant with Nora. Everything is her fault. Literally everything. But that's never discussed in this book. They talk about, like, when Nora, like, basically first finds out that Hank is her real father, they talk about it for a quick second, but then, like, low-key right after that, and they don't even talk about it, discuss it. She's just like, I can't believe you slept with Hank, and her mom's like, what are you talking about? Acts like she didn't do it, and then she gets kidnapped and other things happen in the book, so it's just never talked about again. And then her mom loses all agency, so nothing happens with that stuff again. So it's just like, for the entire book, her mother was horrible, dumb, and stupid. She pisses me off. Next, there is devilcraft in this book. It became a thing in book like 2 or 3, and it's basically a drug that is made from hell, kind of, that angels, Nephilim, all of them can use, and makes them stronger, powerful, whatever. Nora gets addicted to that in this book. That is not something that should happen in the 4th and final book. That is something that should happen in the middle / the end of book 3 and is carried on into book 4 for like added stress. But instead they make that a plot, just like they make fake dating a plot that you're like, it's just like, it's for what? It's literally for what? Just for her to be like, and just for her to get addicted after using it like once or twice, and then her being like, but I can unaddict myself using my powers and my mind. The next thing is the guy she was fake dating to help her with the prestige of all the Nephilim turns out to be evil. Who's shocked? You're saying your evil father's right-hand man who goes to you immediately after your father disappears / dies, you trust him to keep your best friend safe, that guy turns out to be evil? Who would have saw that coming? Like, who would have saw? Who would have saw this man who never changed? Saw that? Who would have saw that coming? Who would have saw that coming, right? The next thing. Obviously, there's this whole plot, this book. It's Patch, it's Scott, it's Nora trying to not cause a war, right? And Marcy does indeed move into Nora's home. So while we're at the pinnacle, we're like 70, like we're like 85% into the book. And they're like, okay, we got all the things we need to not have a war get started. Nora's at Patch's home, and he keeps a couple of his feathers for safekeeping so that he doesn't end up in hell, like I explained from book 3. I don't know. There was a whole plot point of this random guy who was introduced in this book to get all of the Nephilim's feathers, the fallen angels' feathers from heaven, so as like their ace type of thing, right? She gets to the home, Marcy's there burning all the feathers. Oh no, this girl who bullied you for over a decade wormed her way into your house and did all this nonsense is still evil? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? She did one nice thing this entire thing, which was help clean up the party that she made you have, that she manipulated your mother into having with her mental speak. Who would have thought? Crazy, huh? And I was just like, oh, brother. And it's like, what's something that's very unsettling is that when I was reading books 1 through 3, because I haven't updated my Goodreads for book 4 yet, but when I was reading books 1 through 3, everybody hated Nora with a passion, which she's not a great character, right? But everybody was like, but I love Marcy because of all the horrible things she does to Nora. And I'm like, that's not funny, nor is that cute, nor is that interesting or smart of you to say. That is like a horrible kind of thing, kind of like it's very bad for you to love a evil, mean girl like that. Like she's not even like funny mean. Like you know how from Scream Queens, the main Chanel, like she's funny mean. Like she's evil, diabolically mean, but she's also at least funny. She's quirky. She does all this whatever. Marcy is not like that in the slightest. She's just mean for the sake of being mean, evil for the sake of being evil. And I just don't see how anybody likes that or finds that funny. But literally, she is the most weak-willed person ever. In book 3, her father said, let's play pranks on this girl who was kidnapped for months and lost her memory. And she was like, okay, Dad, let's do it, right? And in this book, while she's in Patch's home and she's burning the feathers and Nora's like distraught because she thinks, oh my God, Patch is gone forever because you burned his feather. She's like, my mom, who's also Nephilim, and Nephilim can't make babies. That's why she's sick, you know? Or they can't make strong babies. My mom told me to move into your house so that I could earn your trust, so that all this stuff could happen, blah, 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 blah. Like, this girl hasn't had a thought of her own ever. She's horribly diabolical and stupid, and this goes nowhere. Because literally the first line she says is, I should be running the Nephilim. You didn't even know you were Nephilim until 30 minutes ago. And then she's like, Dante, who's the guy who Nora was fake dating and who was her father's second hand. Dante told me that you're the one who killed my father. Dante said this and Dante said that. And I'm just thinking, did she kill her father? Yes, she did. But you've known Nora. Even though you've bullied her and hated her, you literally have known her for over a decade. You live in this girl's house. And you trust a man you've known for a week and a half? This girl. Oh my God. And the only thing that came to my head was, oh brother, this guy stinks. My brain was like itching to just leave out of my ears, I swear. Next, we find out V is Nephilim. That was the big secret. Is anybody surprised? Let's listen to the audience. Oh, none of you are surprised? Oh, who gives a damn? Basically, she thought she was going through like a second puberty. Turns out she was becoming Nephilim. And basically because her mom dipped and did it with a random stranger one day and had a baby, V. All right, the battle ends up happening because of all the stuff that Marcy and Dante have done. The battle ends up happening. We see Rickson for a quick second because he released all the fallen angels from hell to fight in his side of the battle. She's fighting Dante, and Scott sacrifices himself so that she doesn't die. So in like the last 20 pages of this book, Scott dies. Scott, who has been in this book since book 2, who was the only good character, who was the only character who wasn't mean, fat phobic, racist, evil, a bad guy, made women uncomfortable. He was the only normal character. He wasn't annoying. He was helpful. He was sweet. He seemed like he's the type of guy any girl would want to date. Like, he should be the person that Nora ends up with, to be honest, but that's not my business. That's not my business. He dies. He dies. And That pissed me off, but I wouldn't expect anything less from Becca Fitzpatrick. I wouldn't expect anything less. Lastly, there's an epilogue, and it's 3 years later. They're in England for V's wedding to a man we don't know, we never see, he never talks. She's like, Nora's like, hey, would you ever come back to whatever the hell they are in America? She's like, no. Every time I turn a corner, I'm expecting to see Scott, because they start dating like halfway through the book. And it's a very cute relationship, actually. Like, it's sweet, it's loving. It's the first guy that V has been with in this series who is age appropriate, who isn't evil, who isn't manipulating her, and who thinks that she has a brain. So it was quite actually a nice thing. And again, Becca Fitzpatrick has to ruin everything, right? But that's also interesting. The book where V is the nicest, the best, the least problematic, the most well-rounded, has a big head on her shoulders, like a smart head on her shoulders. It's the book that she's in the least, which is this fourth and final book. And they had to bring in one last fat joke. So literally on the day of her wedding, where Nora and V are talking, they do something, and her wedding dress busts because she's just so fat. And they just laugh about it. And in this talking session, we find out what happens to Marcy. Because everybody dies in the war that needs to be dead. We find out that this annoying cop that's been annoying her since book one was actually Archangel, who was undercover. All this nonsense, right? We find out that Marcy died like a year ago, because again, Nephilim can't make babies that live that long. That's why she was never going to be the leader of the Nephilim, because she wasn't supposed to live. She lived longer than she actually was supposed to. So she died around like 22 years old, I think, something like that. And it was so funny, because they said Marcy died. Only 5 people came to the funeral, including Marcy's mother and Nora's mother. And V was like, yeah, it's karma, bad apple to the very end. And it's true. And I like that she died. I like that this ended this way, because she can't get a redemption after everything she's done. She's done evil things. They got eviler each book, right? It was just so funny that it was just like a little in the wind type of thing. And I was just like, okay, I love that. And I started laughing when this happened. A hee hee ha ha laugh, like just cheesing. And I was like, what does that say about me? Maybe that it says that I hate this book and Marcy. I'm okay with that. And then the last thing, mind you, they're at a wedding. It's an epilogue. Patch is there with Nora. Let me tell you the last lines of this book. Basically, she basically says to him, you're dressed very beautifully for this wedding. You dressed to impress. And the last lines of this book is from Patch, aka Jeff. And he says, oh babe, I undressed to impress. Let me say it again for you. I undress to impress. Look me dead in my eyes. Dead in my eyes. And tell me I was supposed to take this book series, seriously. And that is how the series ends. That's how the series ends. Thank you for joining me on the longest TED Talk, probably the longest video on my YouTube channel ever. I hope you never read these books. I would not recommend them. I think there are a couple glaring things that you should take away from this series. It has horrible fat phobia. It has horrible age range dating, very groomy like. It has horrible bullying, and it has horrible plot, and it has horrible characters. Nothing about this book is good. You can tell this woman has never written in her life, and that's true because in her authors section, she had a degree in health. Last time I checked, health and writing or literature or English are not the same thing. Doesn't mean that she can't write, but it does mean she couldn't write when she wrote these. Okay? So, I hope you have an amazing, top tier, no DNFs, all 5 stars, no bad, disgusting, horrible series read day, week, month, or year. And I will see you in my next video where hopefully I'm happier and glad to be reading. Okay? Bye!